No, she doesn't.
Well, welcome everyone. It is 5 o'clock. The clock has stopped ticking down there. We are pleased to have you join us for this third session of district leadership workshops. If you attended the first ones, we welcome you back and be assured that the information presented today is different than in the sessions held previously this year. If this is your first time to the workshop, a warm welcome to you. I am Keith Walker, your co-host for this evening, and as you can see, I'm sitting under the world famous largest teepee here in Medicine Hat, the Samus teepee. I am the co-president of the Medicine Hat Sunrise Club and the assistant district governor for the 4 clubs here in Medicine Hat. I am retired, although I still work part-time, and my wife and I have 2 sons, 2 daughters-in-law, 6 wonderful grandchildren, and a dog. I am pleased to be hosting with my colleague Marlis, and I invite her to introduce herself to you now.
Thanks very much, Keith. And the whole group who's here. Oh, sorry, I was reading Charlene's thing and I thought, oh, maybe I'm unmuted, but nope, it looks like I can be heard. Thank you very much, Keith. It looks like another interesting session that we've got going on tonight. Keith and I have now done this 3 or 4 times together, and we quite enjoy working together. I've been a member of the Lethbridge Sunrise Club for 21 years when we chartered in 2001. I too am retired, and unlike Keith, I don't spend any time at work at all and quite enjoy that. So this past 2 3/4 or 11/12 year, I've been an AG for the Lethbridge East, Lethbridge Mosaic, and the Brooks Club, and I've been a past president of our club, plus I'm currently treasurer. So, and I know that Keith and I have separated things out, so hopefully we'll be able to keep things going, and I think Keith has the next part, so I will mute again.
Thanks, Marlis. So if we can move on to the next slide, please. It is my honor to start our program tonight with the land acknowledgement. In the spirit of respect, reconciliation, and truth, Rotary District 5360 honors and acknowledges the traditional Treaty 4 and 7 territories and oral practices of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, as well as Nakota and Tsuut'ina nations. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3, within the historic Northwest Métis homeland. Next slide. We acknowledge all nations, Indigenous and non, who live, work, and play, and help us steward this land, honor and celebrate this territory. This sacred gathering place provides us with an opportunity to engage in and demonstrate leadership on reconciliation. Next slide. So some housekeeping items to note. You should have received a copy of the agenda in an email, but I'm going to review it in just a moment. Most importantly, please put yourself on mute throughout the program. You may use the chat button to communicate with each other and to also send in any questions or comments you may have as we go through tonight. We will monitor the messages that are sent to everyone, and if there is time to answer them during the session, we will do so. 2 5-minute breaks have been scheduled. The workshop is being recorded, and live transcription has been enabled for you to read along with the speakers if you so wish. Please enjoy the presentations. Next slide. So to briefly go through the agenda, we have already done the welcome and the land acknowledgement. Linda will be showing us how to set goals in Rotary Club Central. Charlene will be helping us to use Clubrunner. Doug will be talking about how to engage the members of our clubs. Sharvie will present on Elevate Rotaract. Mary is leading us in a session about crisis management. Doug will be telling us about protecting vulnerable persons. And incoming District Governor Steve will give the closing remarks. We plan to be finished between 8 and 8:15. Next slide. There are desired outcomes for today. We hope that you will know that there are resources through the district to help you in your Rotary role, that you will be able to help make your club vibrant, and that Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Our first presenter is Linda Morris. Linda has been a member of the Calgary Fish Creek Club since 1996, where she has held many positions, and she currently serves as a director at large on the district board. She is the chair of the Rotary Youth Exchange Committee and is a member of the Learning and Development Committee. Linda is retired and is a proud grandmother of 2. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you. All right, so my job is to give you an overview of what my Rotary Club Central is and how it can benefit your club. So to get to it, you need to have a My Rotary account and you need to sign in. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So once you've signed in, there is a menu, and I think most of you have been here. I'm hoping most of you have been here. To find Rotary Club Central, you'll go to Manage, Club and District Administration, and then at the bottom, you'll find Rotary Club Central. There are other easier ways. If you actually scroll down on the main page and went to your club on the left-hand side, there is a link right to Rotary Club Central for your club at the bottom of that. So there's a number of ways to find this. This is just one. If we can go to the next page, please. So what do you find in Rotary Club Central? So when you log in, the very first thing you're going to see is the dashboard. And before we even get there, we want to know, sorry, let me back up. So you're going to see the dashboard, and on that dashboard, there's going to be some charts that may be useful to someone new to your club, someone new to a role in the executive or the board. And that'll show you some membership trends, some gender trends, age trends for your club. And these are all automatically populated. So if you've done nothing in this Club Central, those will still be there. The project trends and the project volunteer trends are something you would have had to enter. And the annual funds trend is something that would have been there anyway. So if you have never entered anything into this, of those 6 items, 4 of them will already show up in your dashboard. If we can turn to the next, please. And this is a quick highlight of what the dashboard looks like. This is Fish Creek's dashboard. So you can see the membership trends, the gender trends, and the age trends. And those they go back for 5 years to the current year. Next slide, please. So the goal center. This session really is for 5 roles in your club who have the ability to enter and edit goals. And those 5 roles are the president, treasurer, secretary, your membership chair, and your foundation chair. Now, my Rotary will not know who those people are if you have not identified them in Clubrunner. So when Steve or Kurt or Martin or Christina come to you and say, please identify your executive or your directors in Clubrunner, it feeds right into my Rotary, and it's an important piece. So what I'm going to show you tonight is what these 5 people can see. Next slide, please. All right, so I'm going to tell you what's there, and then we're actually going to go live and demonstrate it. So there are, in my Rotary Club Central, there are 25 possible goals that your club can use. And of those 25, they're broken into 5 big categories. And I think if you look at those categories, it's quite evident that many of those categories are things that you would track in your club anyways. Your membership, your young leaders, foundation giving perhaps, public image, maybe not so much, maybe the bigger clubs do, and of course service. If we can go to the next slide, please. So of those 25 types of goals to monitor, there are 6 of them that update automatically. So RA updates those. There are 15 of them that you have to update manually yourself. And there are 4 that are easy updates. It's a yes or a no question. So do you have an online presence? Yes, done. So those are the 3 types of monitoring that you would have to think about when you're putting your goals in. Next slide, please. So let's look at the membership and engagement goals. These are all the membership goals that you could possibly have. The one in green is the one that updates automatically. So at the very, very least, if for July 1st for the year 22-23, if the incoming executive, the secretary, the treasurer, the president, membership chair, foundation chair, could at the minimum put how many members you think your club will have June 30th, 2023, the total number of members, that will be a big help to Steve next year, because he'll know whether we think we're going to shrink or we're going to grow for that year. Otherwise, if clubs don't put anything in, it shows as a 0 or a 1. I believe they put a 1 in. So Steve, to our eye, looks like we're shrinking a lot. The rest of these, you will recognize a lot of them, whether or not you're attending this type of event, whether you're attending the district conference, how many of your members would go. So these are membership and engagement goals that are optional for you to enter. Next slide, please. Now the foundation giving, the Rotary Foundation giving, all of these are updated. So whether you put a goal in or not, you will have on your dashboard a chart of what you're giving. Our club, for example, still gives the $100 per member per year to the annual fund contribution. So we calculate that out at the beginning of the year, and that's our goal. We invariably meet it or pass it every year. So it's nice to see what we thought we were going to give and what our members actually gave. The rest of them, we as a club don't target or goal, but your club may. And again, once you put the goal in, you don't ever have to touch it again. It's automatically updated. Next slide. So the third category is the young leaders. And of course, over COVID years, you didn't have much to put in here. We didn't have much to put in here, but we're opening up now. And this is a really easy one. It's not a big number. You may have 1 inbound youth exchange student. You may send 2 students to RILA. It's a really easy one to put some goals in. When you send the kids or receive the kids, you put your accomplishment and it's done. Next slide. And the last one is public image. This one again is mostly yes or no. And you can see they're pretty easy. Do you have a strategic plan? And for this one, we're looking for it to be lodged on the district site under the documents, and Charlene can help you find where to put that. So when we count that in the district goals, we're looking at that site to know whether or not you have a strategic plan. If you have one and it's sitting on a shelf or it's in your C drive on your computer, we don't know about it, so it doesn't get counted. But you can see most of these are very easy, yes and no. The other ones are how many social activities outside of regular meetings. Well, if you have 1 a month, that's a pretty easy number to track and to enter. Next slide, please. I'm going pretty quickly through these, I'm sorry. So hopefully we can do a scrolling around in the online site. So Rotary Club Central, the other piece that our club uses a fair amount is this little piece called service activities. And what that does is it allows the clubs to think about what projects they do every year, how many people it takes to run that project. It could be a fundraiser and it could be a hands-on volunteer piece. And then how many hours each of those people for a cumulative number. And this is very beneficial when you have someone new coming into the role of, say, community services where most of the volunteer activities are taking place. They can look back, and I'll show you in a little bit, some of the reports that are on site that they can look back at the history to see if something is taking up more volunteer hours or for a fundraiser than the than the benefit, you might want to think about changing things around. But it gives you a historical view of what your club has done, what has been successful, and maybe what has been something that needs to have another look at. Next slide. All right. So this is the chart that you would get. So again, this is Fish Creek fundraising and volunteer projects. So the way it's separated is, what are the projects for the year on the right-hand side? And on the left-hand side shows you which projects have been completed. And then below, there's a lovely chart that tells you how many people it took in total, what cash contributions, how many hours, and whether or not you donated goods and services. So this, again, as I said, if you're looking for a historical thing, we use it a lot in our club, and it helps new directors coming on stream. Next slide. I won't stay on this one too much, because when we go into the live demonstration, we'll look at this. But when you're setting up a project, it's very easy. It's drop-down lists. It's add a few numbers here, a few numbers there, and then projects complete. Next slide. So here's an example of a historical report, and I just took a little piece of it, and it'll show you what we did, how many people, and you can go right across and down by a number of years. I believe it goes back 5 years. So it'll tell you how many volunteers we projected, how many it actually took, how many hours it actually took, and all of that sort of thing. So again, it's a great historical view. And if you don't enter anything, you've got no history. So reports. In this Rotary Club Central, there are reports for almost everything. And one of the things you're going to notice is that it's, first of all, broken up, similar to the categories, so members and engagement, foundation and giving and service, etc. And the reports are for your club. And then further down, it's for your district. So again, this is a good historical, because things that are automatically updated, like members in clubs and your member termination profile and those sorts of things, are all historically in there, and you can look back to see where you've grown, where you've, what years you may have lost members. Next slide. So then this is the district report. And one of the things that I was talking about is that district membership progress to goal. So if no clubs put any goals in there, Steve's looking like we're having absolutely no members. So it's really important, if the only thing you put in there is how many members you think you're going to have June 30th, 2023, that will immensely help Steve in his reports and goals. Next slide. So if you don't understand anything or remember anything that I've told you today, or I'm going to show you, if you just come into this Rotary Club Central and go to resources, there are little tip sheets on how to set your goals, how to report the progress. Anything that I'm going to tell you, there is a little resource here. So if you forget everything, not to worry, there's somewhere to go. So let's go play. And I went through that very fast. So I may put us ahead of time. Is there a way I can share my screen? Rick, somebody?
Yeah, Brian's got it, Linda.
Okay. All right. Oh, suddenly I see all sorts of things. All right, so before I go any further, does someone want me to admit somebody here, or will somebody do that? I'm just going to close those.
I think Rick's looking after that.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, so before I go anywhere, yeah, I just wanted to check. They were doing some updates on my Rotary today. So I can look at last year and I can look at next year. So next year is more important for this exercise. So that's fine. So we were talking about the dashboard. So we're in the dashboard right now. Generally in the dashboard, the president, secretary, treasurer, membership chair, and foundation chair, if they had clicked on all clubs, it would actually show all of the clubs in the district, and they can click on any of them and see their dashboards. And same with the club groups, you know how you've got your AG who's got a group of you. So all of this, it's not working today because I know that my Rotary was down for service today. So they've done something and I can't show you that piece. But I was talking about the membership, gender, and age trends. These are updated automatically by Rotary International. And it's interesting to see how things have changed. So this was our club back in 2017, 2018. We were pretty well a 50-50 club, but you can see where we've gone today. We are now mostly female to male. So unlike other clubs, we're looking for some men members, funny enough. The age trends also, the growth in younger members or how your members are aging. And this is the piece that comes in where I showed you that the services, when we put in our volunteer hours or how much money and how many hours we put into something, that's where that chart's going to come in. And then this is the annual fund trends, and that's something that's automatically updated. So of all of these charts, 4 of them are going to be there for your club regardless, and everybody can see these. So if we go to the goal center, I'm just going to check on that. Yeah, this is this year. So when you go to the goal center, and I'm basically speaking to the president, secretary, treasurer, membership chair, and foundation chair. So for 2022 and 2023, what we're looking for is for you to enter what goals you think are important to your club, and then to track them over the year and add your achievement. So again, I showed you that there were 5 different categories of goals. So if you want to see them all at once, you just go to all. So I'm going to stay in all for now, so you can see what's there. So when you go in, there's club membership, which this is the one that I really would love to see you put something in. And if you're not sure what something is, such as, let's go to new member sponsorship. So you're thinking, well, what is that? Do I want to put a goal in? If you show the goals, it'll tell you how many members will sponsor a new club member, and it'll show you a little bit of history. So if you're not sure what the goal is, what they're asking for, there is a drop-down list. So when you put your goals in, you got to select first which goal you want. I highly recommend every club picks this goal. If that's the only one you pick, that's the important one. So you pick a goal, and let's pick this one here. So this one, leadership development, is those Wednesday sessions that Rick's leadership team puts on all the time. So you select the goal, then you go into the red space and you put a number in. I'm just making up a number here. We don't really have our goal set. And then you save. So those 5 people in your club have to do this. The rest of you, if you're not one of those roles, you're not going to be able to see this. So then you would save that. So let's save that. So I've got one goal really right now. So I'm halfway through the year, and we have gone to 10 of them. We've gone to 8 of them. You would go in and put your, let's say January 15th, we've done 8 of them. You would put the 8 in and save. So it's very simple. And if you have one person that is the coordinator and is receiving all of this information, it's simple to do. I don't know if there's any questions. If anyone, if Brian or Rick, if you see any questions that I should stop and answer, please let me know.
Will do.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to jump this global view and I'm going to go to the service activities. So because I'm going to see if I can go back 2 years. All right. Only because they've done something with this year. So in the past, this was during COVID. So this was one of Fish Creek. So we completed some projects and we had some current projects that obviously we couldn't do because of COVID. So if we do projects always the same, so we always do Soap for Hope, we always do this, we always do that, you can actually hit repeat past service project. Let's pretend I'm in 21, 22, and it'll jump to 22, 23. So you can repeat them, but you can also add new ones. So this is very faint. I'm sorry, it's hard to see. I'll maybe make it a little bigger. So let's say you've got a brand new project for 22, 23, and the project is bike racing. I don't know. You can put a little summary here. You can put your start date and your end date. We're racing right into October, let's say. And then you go down, and here's where you need to do a little bit of projection. And this is where it's going to help you with your history. We're going to need 20 volunteers, and they're each going to put in 3 hours. And then you're going to say, are we going to contribute any cash to this particular? Well, it's a fundraising, so probably not. Are we donating anything? Well, it's a fundraiser, so probably not. And then you can do a little bit down here with your categories on whether this is a community project, international, vocational, young leaders, or a fundraiser. In this case, it's a fundraiser. And then you might have an area of focus. You might not. And then if you're dealing with partners, you might say it's a group. Like there are 6 Rotary clubs working on this. And that would be your project. And you would go up to the top. And I'm sorry, I have to move somebody to move this. And you would save. So I can save it because I can get rid of it later. So then we've got this. Once your project is done, you're going to go into it, click on it, and you're going to go down and say, well, we only needed 15 people. They each worked 3 hours, so it was 45 hours, and the project is done. So it's very simple. It's easy to handle and easy. And I think if you have one person again coordinating it, or 2 people, depending on how you want to split it, it makes it very, very easy. So that is that. There are the resources, and you can see they're broken in by general resources. There's all sorts of resources for membership. Your club health, I looked at this, it's quite impressive. Assessment tools, young leaders. So again, it's broken by the same categories that we have. And then if you want to know about the citations are all driven off of this My Rotary Club Central. Your reports are very interesting. Again, it's by your club, and then by the district, and then by the region. And anyone in those 5 categories, and I believe anybody can see these reports, but I may be wrong there, but because I've been in this role for a while, I've been able to see everything. And it's going to help you again build your historical numbers and your history to help bring new people along.
Linda, we have 2 questions in the chat right now. Are you prepared to take them, or?
Absolutely, yeah, because I'm almost finished. So yes, please.
Sigrid has asked, how about the hours the coordinator puts in? I mean, that's volunteer hours, correct? Is that somehow recorded in Rotary Club Central?
Can you, I'm not sure I understand which hours we're talking about.
Sigrid, do you want to unmute yourself and
Yeah.
ask the question, please?
It's the the coordinator. Do they record their own hours? Like if I plan the event, do my hours get talked to?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So so for example, when we do Soap for Hope, we have one gentleman or two members who do a lot of the planning and driving and running around trying to pick up all the stuff. So I would say, how many hours did that take you? And they would give me like maybe over 3 weeks, it was 8 hours of work. Whereas I just donated the stuff, it might've been half hour. So it's a very rough estimate, but it's something to get your teeth in to figure out whether it's worth doing or not.
That's it for now, Linda. Thanks.
Oh, okay. I thought you said there were two. No, okay. All right. So that's pretty well my Rotary Club Central. And to get back to the homepage, you would just go back to my Rotary, and I'll just show you quickly so it's easy for you to find it. When you come into my Rotary and you're in this main page, if you scroll down, the first thing you're going to see on the right hand side is my club snapshot, and you can just go right to view club goals. So the goals that are in there are able to be viewed by anybody, but the goals that have to be entered and monitored and edited and updated are only by those 5 roles that I've mentioned a number of times now. So I think rather than drag it on, we've done this a number of times, and I'm hoping to see more clubs put their membership goals in for Steve's year 22-23. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. We have some time right now for questions. So what I'd like to suggest is that if you have a burning question that is related to the information that Linda presented, just unmute yourself and holler out.
I've baffled them all.
Can I just throw out something you could mention? I'm sure some have not been in my Rotary. Could you just explain how they get into my Rotary, Linda?
Sure. If you go to my Rotary, myrotary.org, as soon as you get there, let me just log out. So it's myrotary.org. I'll just sign out. So it's myrotary.org, or Rotary International, I think, has a rotary.org. And if you have an account, you sign in. If you don't, you would do register for an account, and they'll ask you a few questions such as, your name, whether you're 18 years or older, you're not a robot, and they'll ask for what club you're in and that sort of thing. And then you'll have to give them an email address. And if I could suggest, when you give an email address, I would suggest you don't give a work email address, give your personal email address. The reason being, if you change jobs, it is a little more difficult to change your login on my Rotary than it is on Clubrunner. So my Rotary, you have to go in and fill in a form or call them to change. So that would be one of the tips I would suggest there. And it's a different login and password than Clubrunner. So you're going to have to, you can make your passwords the same, but that's up to you.
Linda, I have a quick question.
Yep.
So we have put a new position in, and it's service coordinator. And so they track hours and volunteers and all of that. Is there any way for that individual to have be granted the access to be able to go in and update?
Yes. Yeah, one of those 5 roles can go in and delegate the access to whomever they want. And then they will have the full access. And again, it's under resources. It'll say, how do I delegate my access? You just look that up and there's a quick cheat sheet for that.
Perfect, thank you.
Anything else?
Hi, it's Luann here from Stampede Park. I'm just playing around and following you. And when I sign in, and I have used this before, it just is a cycle. It's not stopping and like connecting. It's just cycling and cycling on the page that says sign in. And so is it just something funny all of a sudden, or is anyone else having difficulties?
Oh, let me just try. Nope, mine's jumped right in.
Okay. I was just trying to follow you along and I couldn't because it just kept jumping.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, no, mine's signing in. Well, when you click on sign in, it does take a while to circle and sign in, but not more than 3 or 4 minutes, not even that.
Yeah, it's just that page just goes on, goes off, goes on, goes off, and that kind of thing. Anyway, I'll
okay.
figure it.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
This relates back to when I was foundation chair. Either the wife or I could get on, but not both of us. Has that changed?
I have no clue. If you have different logins, you should be able to get in.
No, they said that related to the same email. And so when it came to foundation, I really didn't exist at the district level.
So you both have the same email login. So really you have one login.
And only one person, not both. The wife and I.
Yeah, that's odd because I'm logged in one place and I just logged in again in another place with my same login, and I'm on the same computer and I had no problem logging in. So I would call them. They're very, very helpful.
May I offer a suggestion?
Sure.
So Jim and Linda, if you have only one email, but it's subscribed to Linda and Jim is wanting the access, you have to have a separate email because it doesn't recognize that Linda should have access to what Jim needs.
True. Yeah, good point, Charlene. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Charlene, are you able to help Jim and Linda?
At another time, yes.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
So just out of curiosity, how many on the call, are there a number of them that are in those 5 roles, or am I speaking to a group that can't get in and do anything that I've talked about? Do we know, Rick, if there's a lot of that role?
There's quite a few president-elects on this evening, and
Okay.
depending on other positions, but it's hard to tell because we don't track the position.
Right. Okay, thanks.
But I think we got 75 people on tonight. That's one of our largest crowds, and yeah, it'd be nice to know what positions they are, but quite a few of the names I recognize, so I think they're in those.
Perfect.
1 of the 5, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm available if anyone is having any trouble or wants some help with their goals. I'm happy to help out.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Linda. I appreciate you being available to answer other questions. If people have questions as we go through, they can just send them to you or contact you afterwards. Thanks very much for taking us through that process. And I agree with you. I hope that we see more people using the system and recording their statistics and making use of that. So thanks very much, Linda. I appreciate that. We're now scheduled to take a break. So we will take a break and be back in 5 minutes. So quarter to 6, we'll be back. Thanks, everyone. Well, welcome back. Thanks again to Linda for her presentation. Charlene Bearden is our next presenter. Charlene has been the district manager with District 5360 for the past 10 years, where her strength is progressing information flow and response times, sharing the branded image of Rotary, and increasing member and leadership productivity. And that's exactly what she's going to do this evening, as she helps to make Clubrunner simple. Thank you, Charlene.
Get off all the mute buttons. Oh, great. Thanks, Brian. So I get to advance my own slides tonight. So if you saw in the chat box, I had asked everybody to get their smartphone ready. You got yours out? And have your club number, Clubrunner username and password, because we're gonna have some fun. Because there is an app for that. We're always excited when there's a good app coming out for our phones, right? So either go to your app store. If you don't have Clubrunner downloaded already, please go to your app store. If that's the, there's the Android market and there's the Apple app store. So wherever you will find that on yours, just search Clubrunner and download the app. Now, if we can't get to everybody tonight because, I mean, it does take a while, but you can do it on Sunday when it's supposed to be raining. It'd be a good opportunity for you to play with it then too. So you must have found it by now. You're downloading it. You've got your username and password. So when you sign in, you'll come to your club's information. And what's great about this app is that it allows you to see all clubs information. I can't tell you how many times I get asked for, can you connect me to? Do you have contact information for? Well, guess what? This is all for you now. So you can see on the left-hand side there, when you bring up, there's a little overlay. So you can see club listing there. So what you're going to do is click that. And then you're going to choose one of the clubs in the list to click into. So I've just chosen Airdrie. You're going to click in and you're going to scroll to the bottom of that. See Airdrie's at the top there, or Banff or Brooks or any of the 45 clubs that we have. You're going to click into Airdrie and it's going to bring all of the members up. And how this is beneficial to you is, I know that we want to connect with everybody else. There's projects that you want to do with other clubs. There's somebody that you met that you know the club they're from, but you can't quite remember their name. This is a really easy way that's in your pocket for you to connect outward and do those projects and do those grants and work on that service project together. So another interesting fact that just came to me right here is people usually recognize faces. So make sure that your picture is updated. Sorry, pardon me, tells me. Make sure that your picture is updated so that your newfound friends in Rotary can recognize you and connect. So of course, all of this information is populated by yourself when you update your profile in Clubrunner. So I'm going to go sign into my club. I'm also a member of Calgary Millennium. I'm going to show you a couple of things in here and why that information is so important, your personal information, because it filters out everywhere. So member login, upper right-hand corner, you're all familiar with it. And put in your username and password, and my slides aren't advancing. If you can help out, Brian. Oh, great. Ann Dale just said she loves this app. That's awesome. And I know that Linda Morris has used it efficiently as well. Okay, next. So of course your username and password. So this is on your computer. This is where you would go to update your personal information, and keep that up to date. Is it stalled? Oh, there we go. So of course, when you sign in, it comes back to the first page. And now we're in to the admin area and your membership. So when you go to membership tab, this is available to everyone. You'll be able to find everybody in your club, but also then update your information. The picture, your cell phone, your home phone, whichever one you want, you have to click on whichever one you want. Your personal email address and possibly your secondary email address. So, and if you have work information, that's at the bottom of the page, and I've included mine because that's where I prefer to be contacted, of course. I've updated the phone number and the addresses there. Within Clubrunner, at the club level and the district level, which I'll get to in a couple of slides, is where all the important documents can be stored. I have questions about, where should they be stored? On a Google Drive or somebody's computer or an external drive, but this is definitely the place for them. There's unlimited storage capacity. Clubrunner does not limit us. It limits the files. We can't have movies, and that's why we have the YouTube channel. You can't have, there's another couple other ones, but we generally don't use them anyways. So under My Clubrunner, under documents, there's private documents for the club. So you can see here that we have a number of folders, and one of them that will stand out to people is the grant documents. Where do we keep those? If you ever need any history or you need to go back. No, so Luann Whitmarsh asked, are the files here accessed by the 5 mentioned? This is Clubrunner, so we've come away from Rotary.org. This is Clubrunner. You're signing in at the district level or your club level. And when you sign at the club level, these documents are available to everyone. So Luann might be heading up a grant. She would come in here and add under more. You can add the grant that you're working on and call it the same as what it is on the grant website. Letters and numbers, and however you reference it with your grant. And then you can add all of those files here. They will never get lost. You will never have to go searching. The one above it, I might mention executive meeting agenda and minutes, is also a fantastic idea where to store all of those documents. Most times, most clubs, all of that information is not privy for executive. It's available to the whole club. So why not put it here? Everybody knows where it is. Everybody can find it. Of course, the YEX documents or the RY documents now for Rotary Youth Exchange if you need to hold anything of interest for that. Right, so these documents are per club. Only you signing in at your club can see them. And then, of course, we've got some storage for event photos, if that's so inclines to you. Wow, everything's flipping around. Maybe that's what was holding everything up. Okay, so your information, when you input it into your profile, has to be current, up to date. The mailing address has to be as you would put it in anywhere else. It should match your credit card information, how you get your credit card, because there's a lot of things that synchronize with this. Once you have your information in and your partner's information in, when you register for an event, because all of that information is populated because you put it in properly into your profile, when you register for an event, that information will come forward. Because it gives you an option to use your username and profile, your Clubrunner username and profile, to sign in for that event. And then when you're processing your credit card, it'll check against your address and your postal code and your phone number that is associated with your credit card. So this isn't just a Mickey Mouse place, you know, to sort of maybe put some information that might be useful to something. This stuff is hardcore, and every piece of information you put in there has a reason. So WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. Also, if you program it right, and we're all programmers with our own profile, everything will come out in the end well. So the RI integration, compare and synchronize, once you put all your information in there, this is shared and synchronized with RI. And the beauty of that is you only have to do it once. No more checking or entering it at RI. No more wondering if it's there. You hit the button and there it goes. All right. So communication, I know some clubs use this, but it's a bonus if you do. Communication, everybody at the club level can email anybody in their club right from this portal right here. Communication, you can compose the new message, you can send it to all your members or one or some. So this is also available on the Clubrunner app too. When you open up the Clubrunner app, you've got communication, and you can actually email, individual people from there, because their email is a hot link. You just click it, it opens up your email program. Or if you need to phone them, the phone number is a hot link if you've programmed it right. 403-XXS-XXS, because that becomes a programmed item. If you'd use dots, it doesn't work. If you use spaces, it doesn't work. We're all programmers now. The proper format is 403- or 587 or whatever you've got, but the dashes have to be in there. Same with emails. There's a certain format, an @ sign and a dot, whatever. Postal codes, the same thing. 3 items, space, 3 items. So that's your emails. Now what are we on to? District documents. So this is a slide from the district website. So if you sign into www.rotary5360.ca with your username and password, you can sign in at the district as well. You'll be limited to the items you can do or see. It'll be grayed out if you can't, but everybody can see documents at this level. And so what we have here is information pertaining to all clubs, all members. There's district documents for the board and the audit and finance committee. There's district committees, you know, I think 20 some committees that we have, they can share their documents here. Under club info, there is the family tree of Rotary District 5360. There's club archives. There is, that's where we store the strategic plans. If you've sent them to me, they'll be there. The Rotary brands and logos as well. And the fifth one down there, inventory available to borrow. You know, if you might find yourself in need of some items, like the pop-up banners, like the, we've got some yellow vests, we've got service above self aprons. Also at the district level, if you don't, if you're signed in here and you want to do a search anyways, when you do a search, you only want to use part of the name that you might know. So we're looking for Carrie Bostic, but put in only a little bit of what you might, how you might spell her name. If you put in Carrie with Karri and then Bostic with a IK instead of an ICK, it will give you no results. So the less information will give you more results. So I'm just going to briefly take you for a tour of the Rotary District, Rotary5360.ca website. Information, like it said in my bio, I like to share information. It's all available for you. I try to keep it up. If somebody's got a question or a note that something should be changed on the website, I try to do that immediately. If somebody's looking for something and it should have been somewhere that it was appropriate to be, I'll add it. It's all for you. So under Rotary 5360, on the beside the home button there is information, like it says, the drop-down list, but also branding and logos. So I've just recently updated this with some information, and it'll be updated on July 1 with Steve's theme for the year. So I'll change that over. The volunteering, you'll find that under service along with some other things. This is where you go to start your either volunteer profile or host family profile. Again, if something needs updating or if it isn't very clear, then I try to make those adjustments as required. Youth programs, we're getting all of the youth programs hopefully coming back to the district site, and so they'll all have a page here. We won't have to search for them elsewhere. And I'm very happy to say that Rotary Youth Exchange recently updated their page, and they are now here. And that was a big project, but welcome home to Linda and the gang. So events, there's obviously the area calendar where you found to register for tonight's meeting. There's the speakers bureau, which I'm showing you the pictures here. We're always adding to that. The insurance, you will find information there about how to and what information to provide to our insurance broker if you're looking for insurance needs. Your parade float is also there to book that. There's some steps to do before it can be booked and some acceptance of things. Of course, the Cochrane conference just happened with great success, and that'll be updated. And there's the insurance page. So it gives you some information about what to find first, and then come back and send the email. Also, finding a club if you need to, for any reason, or you're traveling, or you want to go see what's happening in Red Deer or anywhere else. You can sort and find different clubs. Wow, that's it. Any questions?
None in the chat, Charlene, but again, I would suggest if anybody has a burning question, just unmute themselves and ask away.
Arlene, it's Linda.
Yeah.
Could you show them where the new documents for youth exchange are under the committees? You know,
Ken,
thanks.
was that under the committee folder there?
Sorry, organization, then committees, and then you go into RI.
Okay. I'm just going there and then I'll, or are you there already? Maybe you can share your screen. So I'm in organization and I'm under district committees. I'll share my screen. And where did you want to?
We're at the bottom, the youth exchange committee.
Okay. Yes, great. Youth exchange.
One more down, yeah.
Oh, can you not see that? Because it's all the way down.
Yeah, but you need to click on youth exchange.
Why am I not seeing it?
It's
Youth
fifth,
Services Subcommittee.
it's
Lower Youth
fifth from the
Exchange.
bottom. Yeah, fifth from the bottom. There we go.
Oh my gosh. There you go.
Yes, and then the documents. So this is the new area that club documents for youth exchange will be held.
Okay. And this
Okay.
is accessible
To all members, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're just building it out right now.
Wonderful.
Am I supposed to?
No, I have to go put the wings in. It's just stinky oven.
Hi, Marlene.
Charlene, I just had a question. We had a couple of times where people go by their middle name and then they go and pay their dues. And then, of course, it didn't coincide. Like, how do you RI middle names in the real name? Like,
Right. So RI is very formal and they use first name, middle name, last name. But how Clubrunner manages that is you put in the first name, middle name, and then there's a box, I think it's called nickname. And you can put something in there if they would rather be called by their middle name. Because you're really paying dues as a club, as a group. Are you sending out invoices through Clubrunner? Is that? Yeah, so make sure that you use that nickname, middle name. Put in all of the information and then use the nickname button. Okay. I did notice that in your club, you have a lot of nicknames. Yeah. Yeah, so be very formal and then you can use the nickname function. Because, I mean, their names do get duplicated throughout the world, right? So if you differentiate yourself by using your first name and middle name and last name, and formulate all of those boxes, you will be differentiated from, you know, Richard James Eisted from Richard Eisted, you know?
Okay.
Where will I be able to access the recording?
mute?
I'm kind of struggling in a few spots keeping up, and I'd like to be able to kind of go through it on my
Right.
own.
Just a minute.
I imagine it'll be on the YouTube channel shortly.
That is
Okay.
correct. Thank you. I also have a question, Charlene, from Marnie Allison at Fish Creek. Please share again, if you could, where the speaker, she says catalog, but I think she means the speaker bureau.
Yeah,
is
it's under
located.
events tab on the front page under events. And then there's a pop-up. And it's the speakers bureau is there. Arlene Morton says, when I try to log in on the app, it doesn't let me, but I can on the website. Try again. You might have changed your password and maybe you're misremembering it, or change it on your desktop and then try again on the, oh yeah, well, try again.
Just a quick comment. I know you said, oh, it's on our YouTube channel. So us novices, can you just
Yep. So youtube.com, and you'll be able to search for Rotary 5360, and it'll come up with a skyline, a recognizable skyline, and you'll see all of our videos there. Real easy. And the links are also provided in the newsletter. They're on the front page of the district website. As all of our social media is, there's all kinds of connections back and forth.
And the link to this workshop tonight will be sent to everybody that's registered today, so or over the last while for this meeting.
Nice. Are we wrapping up?
I have no
Yeah,
more
thanks very
questions
much,
in the
Charlene.
chat.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
No, I just said we have no more questions.
Oh,
in the
no more.
chat.
Okay.
So I'm sure Charlene will answer other questions if people send them in later, or you can contact
Maybe.
Charlene at the office, maybe, if you're really nice. Charlene, that was great. I'm really glad I was able to get the app, have it down there on my phone. That was really useful, as was your whole presentation. We appreciate that. Thanks very much. It's time for our second break. So we will have another time to stand up, and we will be back at 20 after 6 around then. Thanks again, Charlene. Welcome back again. The session on member engagement is being presented by Doug Logan. Doug is a retired management consultant and a facilitator and is the zone coordinator where his focus is on innovation and strengthening the organization for the future. Doug and his team are implementing an action plan focused on growing club membership and starting new clubs. Welcome, Doug.
Thanks very much. Hello, everybody. So can Brian or whoever is responsible set it up so I can share my screen? And so I want to be able to, okay. So before I put my screen up, I wanted to just quickly pick up on a couple of points that that Linda was talking about earlier on, and to reinforce the value of setting goals. I'll talk really briefly about that during my presentation, but it really is, it's not just a benefit to Steve, it's a benefit to you and your club to have goals, because there's a real simple rule. If you don't know where you're going, it's pretty hard to tell when you get there. And so goals is really important. Another point though, around volunteering and recording the volunteer hours, that data is actually very helpful to Rotary and Rotary in its effort to develop relationships with larger funders, the Gates Foundation being a prime example, and other potential partners who often are asking to have potential partners demonstrate the value that they provide. So the more data that we put in about the number of volunteers and the number of hours that we put in, the more beneficial it is to Rotary as a large organization. So let me just put up my screen here. And also to let you know that past District Governor Dan Doherty, who's participating, has agreed to monitor the chat for me as we go through. And just to let you know, I'm going to go through things kind of quickly because I want to have as much time as possible for you to have a conversation with each other, and then we can do a bit of back and forth. So what I want you to do first is just do a little bit of an imagination, okay? Imagine at the beginning of the current Rotary year, everybody had agreed to set a goal that District 5360 would grow by 0.5%, a net membership growth of 0.5% by the end of June 2022. So that works out to a very small number. That would be seven or eight members. So imagine that you had set that goal. So let's look at the implications of this. First, the slide here, what you see, the blue line is the starting point. So at the beginning of July, you hadn't brought any new in, so it's 0. The green line represents the membership growth changes that you would need to see over the course of the year. And it is based on your own history, your own data. So you can see, you would see growth to the end of December, and then a drop in January, because that's what always happened when dues come up to be paid. And then you would need to see significant growth to the end of June, because by the beginning of July, there's a significant drop. We call that line success track. And that is a line that looks almost identical to that in every district in our zone. This slide shows you your history. So the yellow line compared to where you would need to be, the yellow line shows what's happened in District 5360 over the last 3 or 4 years. And you can see the shape of the line matches the green line, but it ends up in a negative place. And that negative place is a continuation of a decline that has been taking place over the last number of years in this district and almost every other district in Zone 28. And this slide shows you where you are at as of the beginning of May. And you can see that you're even behind your historic pattern for the current year. And in fact, you are on track to lose maybe more than 100 members unless something changes. And what's happening in your district is, like all other districts in our zone but one, is an ongoing decline. And in your district, except for the year 2018, 2019, where you had a net growth of 35, that was during Dan Doherty's year as district governor, there has been a steady decline. So why am I showing you that? I'm showing you this data because I want you to understand and appreciate the importance of thinking about doing things in a different way, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And I also wanted to let you know, in your district, roughly 24%, a quarter of your clubs are actually doing pretty good. They have what we call a growth culture. So that's a quarter of your clubs are doing really well, a continued steady growth over time. You have another 10 or 11% of clubs that are a bit on the edge. They're doing okay, but things could change significantly depending on circumstances, such as, you know, really strong leadership to take it off, or troubles within the club to cause a decline. The biggest problem, though, and the primary cause of the decline that you're experiencing, is you have 58% of your clubs that are in a state of ongoing decline. And unless we begin to look at things in a different way, that's going to continue. So some of you will have seen some of this before. I'm going to be focusing on some particular areas here. Just quickly, for those who haven't seen this, this is based on a study of clubs that grew during the pandemic in zones 28 and 32 that identified what we're calling 5 attributes of successful clubs. These attributes aren't earth-shaking. What's unique about this is that it's backed up by data. We can demonstrate with numbers that the things we think are important for clubs to do are in fact result in success. So what are the 5? Strong leadership. Number 2, clear membership goals and a growth plan. In fact, 2/3 of the clubs that grew also had goals in Club Central. It makes a difference. And again, to repeat the point, I strongly encourage you to A, discuss with your club what your goals ought to be and enter them in Club Central. Third is they're being active in the local community. I'm going to look at that in more detail. Visible in the community and active intentional membership engagement. So what does active in the community mean? It means that people are engaged and involved in a variety of visible projects, not just one thing, but many things. And as you can see on the slide, often monthly or ongoing. And you look, 2/3 of the clubs had events where they targeted new members. So what kinds of things could you be doing to increase the level of activity in your community? Well, you could be looking at completing a community assessment. How do you do that? Well, ask the people who know about your community, and don't reach the conclusion that you necessarily would know what's going on. There are a lot of people who are engaged. There's your municipal government, local politicians. There are various government departments that provide services to your communities. There are not-for-profit service providers and other organizations, examples being environmental groups, there's industry associations, disability organizations, and so on. So it's a real simple task of reaching out and having conversations with people, and a bit of a tangent, potential new partners and members in that process. So reach out and ask other people what they think the issues and concerns of your community are. Look at partnering with other organizations and strengthening your community connections. It could be other Rotary clubs in your area, regionally, internationally, across zones, however, partnering with municipalities, politicians, government departments, service providers. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Service providers, environmental groups, industry associations again, and so on. And look at creating a menu of projects for your members. One of the things that I learned in a club that grew dramatically after undergoing a transformation, that they flipped the conversation they had with potential members. And instead of inviting people to come in to help them with things they were already doing, they began to ask the potential members what it was that those people wanted to accomplish. And so by creating a menu and a variety of options for people, you become more interesting and you become more attractive to others. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. There was another district in a zone had a conference a few weeks ago. One of the speakers at the conference used language that was offensive to many of the participants. And the result of that was engagement in a difficult set of conversations about what appropriate language was. And it's one of the things that we need to start to take seriously in our clubs and so on, is if we want to welcome different groups of people and a more representative group of people that look like our community, we have to be prepared to maybe be a little uncomfortable and look at how we could adapt. But the more important thing, there's a real advantage to diversity. And what I'm showing you here, there is ample research from universities across the world, industry organizations and so on, of the measurable benefit of a diverse organization. Bluntly, you get better results. You get better participant satisfaction, a greater likelihood of innovation, and it makes the group more attractive to outsiders and to other potential members. The more diverse you are, the more likely you are to look like your potential new members. And then have a look at your community again. What is going on in your community? Who are the members of your community? And how can you find that out? Statistics Canada, and you may have members who are able to navigate Stats Canada's data really well, but they have ample data in there on your community by counties, for example, on income, profession, culture, faith. The list is significantly long, and depending on what you wanted to know, you could find it there. But again, you can also go to municipalities, development organizations, and so on, and ask yourselves, does our membership reflect your community? And then I won't get into this. I'm hoping that this is one of the things that Dan is going to talk about in more detail on his session, his live session on Saturday. But just part of the whole process of being serious about diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, you need to be talking about it. You need to be encouraging. You need to be supportive. And you need to be prepared to have some uncomfortable conversations. But trust me, at the end of the day, it pays off. Another thing that one of the other attributes that was married with being active in the community was the visibility. So the really successful clubs, it wasn't just that they were out doing things, it's they made a point of being seen to be doing. More often than not, it was through their extensive use of social media, but not necessarily that. And I wasn't planning on getting into this in any kind of detail. It's just to make the point, if people see you being out there, serving, doing for your community, that will engage and that will inspire them to want to be part of it. And then just quickly, the importance of reaching out and engaging your members and being really deliberate and intentional about it, making sure your meetings are fun and the kind of thing people want to come to, with strong programs, diverse programs, interesting speakers, by being friendly, by being fun, by being inclusive, by making a point of mentoring and taking new members by the hand and showing them how they are valued and can contribute to Rotary, making sure people are engaged in projects and have opportunities to share and participate, and actively recognizing the contributions that people make. Went through that really, really quickly. So what I would like to do now is invite you to, they're going to get split into breakouts. And I'd like you to take 10 minutes and have a conversation about this question. What can your club do to be more engaged and engaging? Specific and concrete things that you could do. And at the end of the 10 minutes, we'll come back together and I'll ask for 1 or 2 quick comments. So appoint somebody, volunteer somebody to be the reporter for the group. And then we'll get back together and have a conversation and share ideas. So I will stop screen sharing and invite the master who's in control of all to send everybody off.
I think I accidentally left my room. Nothing new there.
I'm wondering if we ended up being a room.
No, I was in a room with some other people. I saw Mary's name and everything. I just think I unintentionally got myself out of that room. Unintentionally. But that's not unusual, is it, Charlene? For me?
I'll try and send you back. Just a second.
Please do. I feel like Dorothy. Got my shoes on.
Okay.
Charlene, I was going to place you in a room. Are you okay?
Whatever.
Or would you prefer to stay out?
Whichever.
Just sending you to room 10.
Can you also send Ken Butler to a room?
I don't see him on here. I don't even have him listed, Doug.
I think it was Ken that asked for it. Maybe Ken joined, but it wasn't registered or signed in from somebody else's.
That's possible.
Registration.
When did he send it? Just now?
Well, it wasn't he that asked to send him. Somebody else asked to send him.
That was me, Brian. I see he's still in our main room here.
I'm not seeing that, Brian. I just see your monitor and Doug and myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I see him too.
You see him?
Yeah, I see. It says Ken Butler.
Under unassigned?
No, it's just. I'm not looking there. Let me look again. No, it's not under unassigned, but I see him on my screen. He's got a.
I've got Brant Woolsey coming in. He was out. A few people dropped off.
Yeah. Well, Ken had the opportunity to join room 7, but didn't. So maybe he had to go somewhere else.
I see him on the participant list, but not in the breakout room list. Brian Woolsey, I'm going to assign him to room 9.
All right. So Ken said he was sent to room 7 and left unexpectedly.
Oh.
So can you send him back?
I'm trying.
Yeah, I can't figure out. He shows up on the participant list, but he doesn't show up on the breakout room list.
But he shows up in mine.
In the breakout room list?
Yeah, I can see it.
No, in the participant list.
No.
I looked at the more there, Brian, and there's no action to move them. You can remove them, but I don't think we want to do that. What if I put them back in the waiting room?
Okay, so but I'm not, let me try it because it says move to. I'm gonna.
Oh, okay.
But can't move them to 7 though.
No, I can't move them to 7.
I'll move them anywhere, any room.
I just moved him to 6.
Okay. Let's see if he shows up.
Yeah, it looks like he's in there now.
Yeah, he is. Yep. Well, I wonder why we're not seeing the same thing here.
Are you looking at the breakout rooms or are you looking at the participant list?
Both. I got both open right now.
Okay.
And the participant list shows there's 4 of us.
Yeah.
2 Brians, Doug, and myself. And then the breakout rooms, there's only Brian's monitor and Doug. Brian, did you leave it at 15?
Oh, I put it to 10
Okay.
based on the numbers that we had.
Okay, good.
So there's one room with 7 and the rest have 6, more or less.
Yeah.
And so did anybody time?
Yeah, we've got about 6 minutes left.
Okay, good. All right.
I think it's going pretty good.
Yeah, you've been with us right from the start, haven't you, Doug?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Next time I'm going to get you to make me go first.
You could have asked. You didn't ask.
I know. I should have asked.
Because
I'm not blaming you.
Because I had one of my other speakers want to move up because of an appointment. So we moved Sharvie up right after you. And I could have done the same. I should have probably just touched base with you and asked you if you wanted to move up because I know the 2-hour time difference is.
Yeah, well, it's all right. I didn't say anything, so you're not to blame. So we will have 10 or 15 minutes, right? When they come back.
We are well ahead of schedule, so.
Well, you know what? People really like when meetings finish early.
Yes, absolutely.
So everybody else was quick. I mean, I sped through those slides because I really wanted people to talk, and have a conversation with people after, so.
I
And
think
then-
what I appreciated, Doug, was the fact that you always tied a lot of the points into real live examples or data without necessarily pointing out a club or a district. But I think that's for me the take home message.
Yeah, well, yeah, I debated whether or not to show that. I mean, I send that that success track to each district every month.
Oh, yeah.
So that they could see. And there's only one district in zone 28 that the red line is above the green.
Really?
Everybody else is below. About half of the districts are doing better than their normal, but not well enough to end up the year ahead. And what I didn't mention is that we're on track to lose about 1,300 members at the end of the year.
Our zone?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Question for you, Rick.
Mm-hmm.
When I hit the close all rooms, how long does it give you? Do you remember?
Normally a minute.
Okay. So I'll wait till there's a minute to go, send the broadcast message, and then close all rooms.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, and then I'll sign off once we're done my little piece.
Yeah. You need your sleep there, Doug.
Well,
not that you're looking tired, but you look like you're pretty engaged. So
I'm not 18 anymore. I don't know if that's probably hard for you to believe.
No comment.
Yeah. My daughter, I spent some time with my youngest daughter on last weekend, and she was kind enough to tell me I don't look my age.
I got 2 minutes to go. I'll give it another minute and I'll send the message and close the rooms.
Are you using the timer that's in the breakout rooms, or are you using your phone?
I'm using my phone.
Okay. So they've been in 8 minutes now?
They've been in 8 minutes now.
Yeah. I give them the full 10 and then
Okay.
And then close the rooms, because normally it's a minute.
Okay.
Well, I don't. Can you get it? I can't see how you got it set up, but can you? I mean, yeah, we're a good time. I think just let it go for the full 10 and then close.
Okay. I had a meeting at 7 o'clock this morning. I'm getting a little tired.
Oh my goodness. My goodness.
Are you a morning person?
Usually I am, not quite that early. We had a new generation cervix exchange Zoom call with a young lady from Germany. So we're trying to accommodate her time, the time zone change.
All right. Well, I'm not a morning person, and I can tell you that morning clubs that meet in the morning, they all have the same personality. They're full of energy and cheerful.
Yeah, I can diddle that for sure. Our club is an evening club at 6, and it seems like we're running out of steam by 7:15. People wanting to head off to bed.
Yeah.
Unless it's a fun and fellowship event, then that's a different story altogether.
Now, if I hit when I hit the close all rooms, it still gives me a minute?
Yep,
Okay,
I just got the broadcast message, so.
okay. Yeah, I sent that message.
Yeah, right. Mhm.
Oops, I didn't mean to come back so soon.
It's all right,
You're
Keith.
back 40 seconds early.
I didn't listen to the instruction.
You know, we were talking about things there, and I ended up getting kicked out of my room. I came back here a little quick, but the club I used to belong to in Innisfil, Ontario, had just started just before I left, but they started hosting once a year. They would do what is Rotary, and they would send out invitations and advertise. And what we would do is we'd set up in a room and have all the different Rotary projects, whether ours or partner clubs. And, we got a lot of members out of that. So just an idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Okay, well, it looks to me like everybody is back.
Pretty close.
We didn't have a
Oh, no,
choice.
there's a few. You didn't. Your breakout was more interesting. Okay, I don't see any more coming back, so let me close that. And so what I'd like to do is to invite somebody from each, and let's just do it really quickly and as quickly as you can so that we have an opportunity to do a little bit of back and forth. So can I have somebody from group number 1? Tell us what you came up with.
Who's group is whose?
I'm muted, sorry. I'm back. Yes, a lot of clubs were actually suffering from the same problem of declining numbers, as you were saying. And the common theme that came out that doing the same thing repeatedly is not going to come up with the answer. We have to do things differently. Being much more visible, engaging with other community volunteers so that we don't go in and just do things, the Rotary does this, but making sure we work collaboratively with other community volunteers. And the other one was changing our meetings, actually have a chat with the members of the club and make the meetings more interesting and more diverse, not the same old boring lunchtime meeting every single week.
Okay, that's great, thank you. And something that I forgot to mention, there's a rule. Change means movement. Movement means friction. Friction means heat. Heat means fire.
Yeah.
And it's a question of managing the heat so that the fire doesn't consume you. And often we don't change because we're afraid of that. Anyway, thank you very much. Group number 2.
Hey, Doug, can I just add something there quick?
Yes.
I heard a little saying that says hot water will make carrots soft and it'll make eggs hard. So all the way you use the heat.
Okay.
Hey, Doug, just a suggestion. Could we have whoever's speaking or giving you the feedback to also include it in the chat so we have a written record of it?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Number 2.
Yeah, Rhea Graham from Chinook. I'll just speak on behalf of our group. One of the individuals is imagining that with all the work that is being done right now to educate communities about Indigenous people, they feel that would be a great opportunity to engage with their club members. And so that's one of their interests. Another group felt that they identified things that they needed to do to move forward. And one of them was really work with somebody to do a better job of their social media, get their information into the website, and in a way that when people go on seeking out an opportunity in Rotary, they'd have something more to offer them on their devices. And then one of our members, she comes from a smaller club in a smaller community, and they are just starting to re-engage now because of, they can meet in person. But they did, as you said, they changed their venue. They're going to a different place because, it just was time to make a change. So that's good. And then, as I say, another individual indicated that they already have an educational program with some Indigenous youth, and maybe it would be an opportunity to engage them either in developing an Interact club or their leaders becoming members of their Rotary Club and promote the Interact club. So that was sort of a summary, I think. Did I miss anything, anybody?
Okay, I see thumbs up. So thank you very much. One of the things that I would also encourage you to think about is in the process of reaching out to other organizations, think about it in terms of a partnership and not as a membership recruitment. Let the new members come in naturally because they're interested, and let people see you as wanting to be a partner with them. Okay, group 3.
Thank you. Thank you.
Group number 3.
Hi there. I think we were group 3. I sent Hal a message, but I don't think he got it. So I'll go ahead and speak for us if that's all right. We kind of got stuck on engaging our members. So not so much being engaging in our community, it was within our own club. The benefits that we had of Zoom was really opening up our meetings to be really global, having speakers from wherever in the world. We didn't have to have them in our club. So it really just kind of opened up our thought process to different opportunities to seek program speakers. One of our members one of the people in our group had said, really, individual members need to find their passion, really determine what it is within Rotary that brings them joy. And stick with your passion. And then we did have some concerns about members being overloaded. So I think we need to engage with our members individually and try to listen to them and keep them happy, find out if they're overworked, find out if it's overwhelming, and try to keep them in the clubs. I hope that covers our group.
Yeah, those are all really excellent points. I was mentioning during the breakout that we are projecting that Zone 28 membership will drop by more than 1,200 by the end of June. It's 1,000, more than 1,200. Yours going to be down. Other districts are going to be down. Clubs are going to be down, and it's real simple. People aren't buying what we want to sell. And we're not engaging enough. So good on you to be looking at that. So group number 4.
There's Luann. So we were similar to group 3 in that we were looking at both how to engage with community, plus how to have strengths within our membership so we can continue to do the work in the community. And so we had a delightful person from the University of Calgary Interact, and she's talking a lot about how they're engaging with international students because they bring a real certain difference. And if they've been involved in Rotary especially, then they bring that really enrichment there. And we also talked about how we don't have a continuation of relationship necessarily with the exchange students. You know, we're all hypered up and we have a really good year and then they're gone because we're on to the next students, and we're missing opportunities in there for them, their families, and who they met. We also said that we want the community to maybe have more of a two-way relationship. So right now it's sort of set up that we do this fundraiser for that. And instead, maybe we can have a partnership and they would hand out our information or come to our club or, you know, have some of a two-way relationship instead of just one. And the last thing we talked about was having opportunity to ask the members what they want. So in my specific club, we sent out a survey monkey, and we found out a lot of the younger people that are in our club want to learn more business information. And we have a lot of business people. So we set up a business club, and that's been really, really successful. And it's not just for our club, it can be for anybody in Rotary or on Facebook or whatever the case may be. And it's a way to engage people in a different way, to use their talents, use their mentorship, and have that sort of be a success inside that shows outside.
Thank you very much. And to reinforce your last point, we've been doing a lot of work in strengthening our relationship with Rotaract. And one of the big learnings for me over the last year has been to understand that Rotaract have often different priorities than the rest of us. They have a much greater focus on personal and professional development. It's not that they don't want to do service, but they also are at points in their lives, in their career, where those things are more important for them than it is for many of us.
Totally
okay,
true.
Group number 5, I think it is. Going.
Connie or Anne, were you going to talk?
I
Looks
guess
like
not.
you're on, Marlis.
Okay. just a little bit. What we had a few comments about what's helped to engage people, and we had a nice diverse group. Although one of the things that was commented on is that one thing that might help actually with engaging is updating their language and becoming more diverse. And this person was saying that their club isn't that. And actually, I do think that that's a big thing. One of the things that was a pretty big theme from 3 or 4 of the clubs was doing something different with their meetings, either changing the meeting time. So instead of being in the morning or at noon, they moved it to the evening permanently. Others did things like having a social meeting. Instead of their noon meeting once a month, they would have a social meeting once a month instead. Others have gone to once a month meetings, different locations, and having some fun. Others have gone to twice monthly meetings, sometimes with one Zoom and one face-to-face, or alternating Zoom face-to-face. And so those things have actually helped with some of their attendance. What doesn't necessarily seem to have been too successful with too many of the clubs is the hybrid meetings. And I know my club has done hybrid meetings, and for the most part, they're going quite well. And I have to say, and although Martin's not here, one of the things that really helped our club was him coming, and we got some of our energy back. We're a 7 o'clock in the morning group, and everyone's commented on how energetic we are. Well, we hadn't been energetic until he came in the middle of March, and now it's been better. And I think maybe, and the last thing, again, related to meeting times, which was, again, changing the locations, but also meant like sometimes involving community events and things like that. So I'm hoping that I captured things. I don't know, Keith, Connie, there's Anne, anyone else want to?
No, that's good. Thank you, Marlis. Those are really good points. I would just add the point, don't be afraid to try new things, and don't get upset if it doesn't work. And don't, sometimes it takes a while to get used to new things, like that new pair of shoes that you spent too much money on. Okay, group number 6. So people aren't exactly rushing to be able to.
I guess I'll chime in here. Some people didn't know what their group number was. I think I was in group 6. Anyway, we talked about doing social events. We started with once a quarter, when there's the fifth week, once a quarter in a month. We have an evening meeting instead, and a social event. We get together to do that. We have a motto in our club: we have fun and we get things done. And so we try to engage our club more on a social side as much as possible. But And we're trying to be more engaged on social media as well.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Group 7. Nobody, so I'll move on. I'm noticing the time, so I'll move on to 8. Anybody from 8? Number 9.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead.
Well, I was in 8. I thought Leeway, I can't remember what his name was pretty well running it. That's whoever was in our group. That's 8. Anybody want to jump in?
You can go for it.
Well, all I did was put some notes down about the kind of getting involved in community events. One of the things our club did was we got involved with the Kiwanis and the Lions, the IODA, the Brownies, and all the others to do carrying cards for the medical profession and for the educators. We did carrying cards in our club. Someone else said they did some carrying packages for a cancer clinic in their community. Others did a team. They took on a medical team in their community and did like packages for each member of their medical teams and that kind of thing. Engaging during COVID was very difficult. So the thing COVID really put it to us, and so now all of us are trying to get back. And our club was going to do a hybrid, and we've decided last week that no, we're going to go for individual being together again, because that seems to be where the energy is.
Okay, thank you very much. And group 9.
I think we might be group 9, I'm not sure. We talked about a lot of the same things about changing the format and bringing in the technology to engage international speakers or higher caliber speakers than we sometimes have. We also talked about ways to socialize that are not just about meet and greet, but actually getting to know each other and the strengths and developing skills. And one of the things that I'm hoping to introduce is a theme-based, so that each month we take a theme, and then the volunteer activity, the socializing, and the speakers will all revolve around the same topic for the month, so that we actually get some depth and some action based on what we learn.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And last but not least, 10.
We talked about giving the people in our members a purpose. And Charlene's got a lot of this down on in chat already. But the change of format for meetings that many clubs have mentioned already is something we're going to try, and then to change things up. And our biggest wish is that we stress fellowship in our club. We've been a little fractured with COVID meetings on Zoom and then on to hybrids. So that's an area that we're going to work very hard on. What other people have said, partner with other service clubs and use social media to attract Instagram, LinkedIn for events that the clubs are running.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Run over a little bit of time, so I'll just a couple of quick comments to summarize. You can tell that there are all kinds of ideas out there of things that you can do. There actually is no limit to the possibilities of changes that you can implement. But don't change just for the sake of changing. It's important that you keep in mind that you need to be true to yourself and true to your members. All kinds of things are possible, but don't be afraid to try new things. Just be yourselves and you'll be able to make great things happen. So thank you all very much, and I'll turn it back over to the rest of you.
Thanks very much, Doug. That was really interesting and informative and got us all thinking. I also want to thank the people who reported back from the breakout groups, and to everyone for participating in the breakout groups. So Doug, thanks very much for that. And I understand you are 2 hours ahead of us. So if you can't stay for the rest of the session, we will understand that, but thanks very much for being here tonight. And with that, I'm going to turn over the hosting duties to my co-host, Marlis, and thanks everyone, and over to Marlis.
Thanks very much, Keith. Yes, that was very interesting, Doug. And so far, I think we've learned quite a bit today, which is great. However, we still have some excellent speakers coming, and the next one will be, and I know I should have been practicing your name. It's Sharvi, isn't it?
Harvey.
Yeah, Sharvi Shaw. Anyways, will be talking to us about how to elevate Rotaract. And so if you could take it away, please.
Thank you so much, Marlis. Hi, everybody. My name is Charvi Shah. I'm currently a student at the University of Calgary, and I'm a member of their Rotaract Club. Within the district, I'm also the Youth Mentorship Lead for the Learning and Development Committee, and I serve as the District Rotaract Representative for 5360, where I chair the Rotaract Committee. So that's why I have this great opportunity to talk to you all about Rotaract today. So I would love to start off with a question for everyone. Hi, Monica. Can you think of one way in which you or your Rotary Club has collaborated with Rotaractors? I'd love for you all to think about that, and we can come back to this a little bit later in my presentation. And thank you, Brian. I can control my slides. Awesome. So I'd like to start off with introducing you all to what Rotaract is. So Rotaract was previously known as a youth program of Rotary. However, as of July 1st, 2022, Rotaract will be elevated and recognized as a Rotary membership type. Rotaract clubs are an opportunity to involve young adults into Rotary. This includes university students, young professionals, or actively involved members of local communities. As such, most of our Rotaract clubs run from September to April, which is the typical university school year. Our clubs engage in hands-on humanitarian service projects, and we love to focus on the Rotary 7 areas of focus. Currently in our district, we have 4 active clubs. That includes my club, U Calgary, U Lethbridge, Rotaract United, which, as we were talking earlier in the previous presentation, that is a club that is based on Rotaractors who went on a youth exchange previously and came together based on their common interest, common experience, and formed a Rotaract club. So my suggestion is if any of you have a youth exchange student in the next year or two, please direct them to Rotaract United if they would like to stay involved with Rotary. And back to where I was, our 4th Rotaract club in our district is Rotary 21, which is a recently chartered hybrid club for which the members will be both a Rotaract member and a Rotary member. This is a new idea made by some students at Ambrose University, where they were trying to solve the issue of getting more young people involved with Rotary. And it's great that the idea came to fruition and is now actually a club. So for me, becoming a Rotaract member is a great opportunity to gain volunteer experience, leadership skills, make strong connections with the Rotary community, and learn about youth opportunities in Rotary. So I want to tell you a little bit about what Rotaract in our district has been involved with in the past 2 years. So, okay, great. First off, we held a Rotaract Rotary mentorship program since 2020. So we just wrapped up our 2nd year of this program. As we mentioned in the last presentation as well, Rotaractors do have the focus of developing our personal and professional skills. And we had heard that feedback, and that was expressed by Rotaractors in the district. And we thought, you know, what, isn't it so great that Rotarians do have diverse career experiences and knowledge of specific fields, but they also tie that into volunteerism. So our goal through this program was to facilitate one-on-one relationships between Rotaractors and Rotarians, which allowed Rotaractors to learn tips and professional development skills, discuss their career aspirations, and draw on the life experience of Rotarians. And in turn, Rotarians were able to learn from Rotaractors about new ideas and the news and many other things that you were able to do when forming a relationship with somebody who has different experiences from you. So this past year, from 2021 to 2022, our program had 54 participants, 24 of which were Rotaractors and 30 Rotarians. And this meant that 6 of our Rotaractors were able to meet with 2 mentors and learn about 2 different career paths. The feedback we got from participants in the program was that their exchange of ideas and experiences were valued, and that they were able to build connections between Rotaract and Rotary. Some things that our mentors and mentees did together were learn skills in connections and volunteer opportunities, resume building, interview skills, and a greater understanding and appreciation for Rotary. In my personal experience, my mentor was Keith Johnson, and I learned about his 30-year plus career in the information and technology industry, which is really interesting to me as I'm a computer science major. So we just wrapped up our second year of the mentorship program this year on May 15th, and we had our mentors and mentees explore resources such as My Rotary, and we were also able to collaborate with district committees such as the New Generations Service Exchange Committee to bring more opportunities to Rotaractors. We plan to run a third year of this program in the fall of 2022 and hope that we can involve high school aged interactors in the program as well. So watch out for that in the next year. Another thing I wanted to mention is that Rotaract this year participated in an event called the Making Waves Polar Plunge. This was a Canada-wide Rotaract fundraiser in which Rotaract clubs from all districts in Canada participated through the Rotaract Canada MDIO. This fundraiser raised funds for the Rotary Foundation's Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Fund. Some of you may have heard of that, and it's abbreviated to WASH. So our 4 clubs in our district collaborated and collectively raised $2,410 for the Polar Plunge fundraiser. And we held a plunge event in March with Martin Parnell and Christine Rendell plunging into the water with our Rotaractors, which is really fun, and we're super glad that we could participate in that. I do also want to mention that coming up this summer, our Rotaractors in our district are helping organize Jennifer Jones's appearance in the Stampede Parade on July 8th. And we hope to have Rotarians from each club involved as well in this parade. So we will be sending some information out to Rotary Club presidents in the next few weeks about how we can get Rotaract and Rotary both involved in the Stampede Parade together. So the meat of my presentation today is about Rotaract elevation and what it means. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, Rotaract used to be a youth service, and as of July 1st, 2022, it is going to be considered a membership type. This decision was made by RI to empower Rotaractors to have a larger voice and impact within the organization and the community. So a few things that this means for our relationship. Newly chartered Rotaract clubs will not have to have a sponsor club in order to be chartered. However, existing sponsorships or Rotaract clubs in need of a sponsorship can still exist. With elevation, Rotaractors are now eligible to sit on and serve with Rotarians on district committees and Rotary International committees. Recently, our district made a change to some bylaws in which now Rotaractors are allowed to vote at things such as the AGM and on the district board. And lastly, Rotaractors will now pay Rotary International and district dues. So I'll speak a little bit more about the dues and grants. So for Rotary International dues, this means that per Rotaractor per year, our clubs will be paying either $5 USD or $8 USD to Rotary International. This is dependent on whether it is a university club or a community club. So again, $5 for university clubs per Rotaractor per year, and $8 for community clubs per Rotaractor per year. In addition to this, our Rotaract clubs will be paying $10 Canadian per Rotaractor per year in district dues. So paying dues, the purpose of that for us is that we contribute to the organization and are also able to access district and global grants. So this is totally new to Rotaractors. We've never had involvement in grants where we can sign up for a grant. So in this next few years, we will really need Rotary Club's help in understanding how this grant process works, making meaningful grant projects, and sorry, I'll answer the questions in a second. And so, yeah, we would really like for Rotarians and Rotary Clubs who maybe have already done a grant project to reach out and help with Rotaractors and Rotaract clubs who are looking into that. So I'm almost done this presentation, and then I'll answer any questions that are in the chat. A few other points I wanted to make and some suggestions on how to get involved with Rotaract as well. So our call to action today is, with this empowering movement for Rotaractors, we really do foresee a very vibrant Rotary coming up. As such, we want to collaborate with Rotary District 5360 and all the clubs. We want to discuss with you how we can make our relationship mutually beneficial and help each other in so many ways. Lastly, with Rotaract being a membership type, we really hope that we can get Rotaractors involved in the Rotary community, in committees, voting, and sharing their voice and their thoughts and ideas. So, as I asked you in the very beginning of this presentation, how have you engaged with a Rotaractor, or maybe your Rotary Club has engaged with a Rotaractor? If you've thought of something, I'd love to hear about it in the chat, but I do have some suggestions on maybe if you haven't had an idea yet, or maybe you have and you want to get more involved. So, as I mentioned, help Rotaract get involved with grants and the process of grants. This is a totally new idea for us, definitely going to be a learning curve, and we would love the support of Rotary clubs who have been through the process. We are going to be collecting fees for the first time in our district for Rotaractors, which is going to be a big challenge for us. And so we're hoping to have fundraisers maybe to support some of our students who cannot pay those fees. And we'd love your help in advertising those fundraisers as they come along come September. If you'd like to get involved into the mentorship program for Interact and Rotaract in the fall of 2022, I ask that you please look out for that, and we really hope that we can get lots of mentors involved. So for the Stampede Parade with Jennifer Jones, we are hoping that we can get one member from each of the Rotary clubs involved. So we will be sending out some communication to club presidents soon, and please make sure to help send one Rotarian from your club so that they can get involved with our Rotaractors. We do have a Rotaract committee, which is the one that I chair, and we are looking for a Rotarian advisor, and would love to have our AGs really involved in that process as well. So if you are interested in becoming a Rotaract advisor, Rotary advisor to our committee, then that'd be a great opportunity to get involved with Rotaract. We also do have a Rotaract newsletter that we started this year. So some of you may have seen that previously on the Events Digest, and we're hoping to get one issue out over the summer, and we hope that we can have Rotary opportunities involved in that monthly newsletter as well. So we will be sending out a Google form in the Events Digest if you would like to have any of your Rotary events advertised to Rotaractors. So all in all, I thank you all for listening to this presentation about Rotaract Elevation, and I hope that we can all encourage Rotaractors to become involved with your clubs, with committees, and with projects coming up in the future. And sorry, do you mind flipping to my last slide, please? Thank you. Here's some contact information about how to contact our Rotaract committee. So please follow our social media and write down our email address if you would like to contact us. Thank you. And I'll look at the questions really quickly. So as a
I'm not sure that we actually had any questions, but maybe there are some from the floor that people would like to ask.
Oh, please, yeah.
Maybe we could just see Charvi herself rather than the slides. Okay, who has questions?
Could you please put up your contact information one more time?
First, I can write it in the chat as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, a social setting, meeting, gathering type is great for fellowship. It definitely helps our Rotaract Club as well. So thank you for that great idea. And
Can I
perfect.
just ask Charvi,
please
just talk a little about the age? There's a lot in Rotaract now, just so.
So Rotaract previously had an age limit where it was 18 to 30. That upper age limit has been removed. So it is now anybody above 18 can join a Rotaract club. However, Rotary International does have, is considering adding that upper age limit back and limiting it to 35. So that's currently discussed in discussion on the Rotary International level. That's for helping, basically the point of it is that they want to get Rotaract and Rotary accessible to young people. And when they join a Rotaract club, say in university or at 18, then they can stay there until maybe they're ready to move on to a Rotary club. And they just wanted to give Rotaractors who are hoping to transition into a Rotary club some more time, some more age time, so that they could do that. However, that did cause some concerns with Rotaractors as they are a young adult club and that's how they identify. So that's why it's back on the table now. Does that answer your question, Steve?
That's good, thank you.
Thank you so much. Everybody have a great night. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Charvi. That was very interesting. You've got some people who are very excited about getting involved with Rotaract again. That's coming out from the chat, and everyone thought that you did an excellent presentation and are excited to see you involved. So let's move on now to Mary Turner, who, although she probably doesn't need much of an introduction, I will introduce her anyways. And she's going to give us a talk on crisis management. And I think this is something that we're all going to be really pleased to hear about. So Mary was involved in medical administration for over 25 years. She joined the Rotary Club of Olds in November 2008. She's had a number of club executive positions, treasurer, membership, foundation. She was their president from 2013 to 2014, and she was assistant governor 2015 to 2017 for Red Deer Sunrise, Innisfil, Sylvan Lake, and Drumheller. She also was a district director at large from 2017 to 2018, district governor nominee 2018 to 2019, and district governor-elect 2019-2020, which of course means that she was our district governor in 2021, 2022, which, no, wait a minute, that's just, it was last year, so that's 2020/21. And Mary is married, 2 children, 1 daughter-in-law. She has a new grandson, and she loves to ski, scuba dive, and hike. And although it's not here, I know Mary has been not only an active supporter of the Los Amigos project that was originated here at Lethbridge Sunrise, my club, got to put a plug in for that. But she also participated last time they went down. She was an ambassador. And this time she actually was a driver, if I'm not mistaken, Mary. So please give us some information on how to manage crises.
Super. Thank you so much, Marlis. And that's a very warm welcome and great introduction. Yes, we're freshly back from the Mexico trip. We traveled down to the Mazatlan area, and I had the honor and privilege of driving an ambulance and a handy bus over the period of time down to the city of Mazatlan. So great opportunity, and certainly high on my Rotary moment list of amazing opportunities that Rotary's provided for me. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about crisis management, and this is something that has been probably talked about in the background for a long time, but not as a formalized conversation. Rotary International has asked all districts throughout the world to provide a crisis management policy from each district. That policy is due in June of this year, and I'm very pleased to announce that our district has not only created a policy, but it was adopted and brought to the district board at the February 4th, 2022 district board meeting. So we have fulfilled our requirements from Rotary International. I'm just going to, there we go, take this back one. So that part has been completed. The other thing that I want to make you very aware of is that this is not a youth exchange crisis management plan. The Youth Exchange Crisis Management Plan is a totally separate document from the document that I'm talking about, which is a more global district-wide crisis management policy. Both are required by Rotary International, and we're happy to say that the policy has already been adopted by our district. Fair enough. Having a policy in place means that we still have a whole lot of more work to do. So here's what we need to do next, is create a district plan. This district plan is going to be something that involves a number of individuals to create the plan. We're calling that a district management crisis committee. This committee is going to be comprised of 5 or 6 individuals from across the district with various skill sets and areas of expertise, because we're going to need a wide variety of individuals to create our district-wide plan. The district crisis response team is another group of individuals. That district crisis response team is going to be made up of the district governor stream with some additional members, again, based on skill set. And this will be an ongoing team that will take the plan, and in the event that there is a crisis in the district, they'll be the people that are the feet on the ground at the district level to make sure that everything runs smoothly. Of course, having a district plan is all well and good, but I also want to know, what is your plan? What is your plan in your club? You know the local radio station, you know the local police enforcement, you know the local authorities as far as the municipal government and other important individuals in your community. So it's absolutely critical that each club has a document in place to follow if and when something goes sideways. Let's break it down. All right, so we've got some work to do. We've got a district crisis management committee that has yet to be created. And I'm really hoping that through tonight's session and through the session that's going to be led on Saturday morning, and from some of you having conversations with members at your clubs this week and next, that we'll be able to find some key volunteers to step up and help the district with this very important work. The creation of the district plan will also include some suggestions for club plans. This is a huge piece of work. And what I would ideally like to see is that this committee creates some generic templates that can be shared with all of the clubs in our district to be tailored to your specific community situation. These templates could be something that would be part of your communication plan. It would be something that you could fill in the blanks with, like, who's the local police authority? What is their name? What is their phone number? What is their email address? Similar things with local media and Rotary contacts and that kind of thing. It goes on, so that you would have those community contacts in a template close at hand. It would be the expectation of the club president to update those contacts every Rotary year to ensure that you have the up-to-date contact information in the event that something goes sideways. So what kinds of things am I talking about if something goes sideways? Well, here's a list of some various things that Rotary International has identified. Some of these may not be as likely to happen in our district, but there's always that odd and unusual event that happens out of the blue, out of nowhere, out of control. And here we are in the situation that needs some management. So these are some of the things that we look around our world and we hear about natural disasters. We hear about the horrible situation where we have a missing person, an accident happens, the railroad train comes off the tracks and takes out a group of individuals that are doing a service project. You know, you could name all kinds of different things that could happen. Here's a list of various things that I think about when I think about crisis management. All right, so let's just take it back again, because I know there's a lot of things to kind of wrap your head around and I want you to sleep at night. So let's take it to a baseball scenario. So who's on first? Well, first we're going to get that team of 5 or 6 people to establish a district plan. And this plan has to work in conjunction with the district policy that's already been adopted by our district board, which in turn follows the RI expectations. So everything has to flow seamlessly from one document through the next. And I'm really hoping that we'll get these people tonight or Saturday morning. They're going to determine various risks in our district. So each risk will have a plan associated with it to follow in the event that that is something that is actually occurring in our district. We have amazing people in Rotary that have expertise and talents to help us work through this document. We're going to need these people to come forward and share their skills and talents with this group of individuals who are only responsible for creating the plan. These 5 or 6 people are not going to be the people that are called on in the event of a crisis. They're going to be the people that make sure that we've got our ducks in a row. Okay, because I want to make sure that you understand that these 5 or 6 people stepping up are not going to be long-term people. They're just going to create the plan for us. We're going to make sure that we have a plan with protocols to address every type of crisis and every level of severity. There's going to be situations that are very mild, and then there's going to be those situations that are quite severe. And we need different approaches and different plans for each level of severity. Rotary International has been very helpful in providing us with some key resources. And I think in following some of their guidelines, we'll be able to address all of these various issues fairly seamlessly. Developing a communication plan is so key. When something goes sideways, you don't want to hear about it on the street, that something happened at a Rotary Club. We don't want to hear about it on global news when it happened in our backyard. So developing a key communications plan with everyone that's going to be involved in the situation is paramount, from the club level right through the district. We want to make sure that the district governor isn't reading about this incident on the front page of the Calgary Herald. They need to be intimately involved right from the get-go. So who in the club is going to be that person to communicate with the district governor and with the crisis team that's going to manage the situation? Absolutely key. Social media, as we know, news travels like wildfire on social media. So that's another key component that's going to be part of this communications plan that we need to address and need to thoroughly think through. For club presidents, this is absolutely key, that you not only have a club plan, but that you marry it with the district plan, and that you are very clear about the expectations going forward in the event that something does go sideways. Training is going to be a huge part of this as well. I'm really happy that District Governor-elect Steve Levitt has incorporated this conversation tonight. It's going to be a conversation that's a part of all district planning events in the future from a leadership perspective, so that club leaders are clear about what needs to happen in the event that something goes sideways. Honestly, let's hope that nothing ever goes sideways, but if you have a plan in place, my history, my experience is that if you have a plan, you'll never need it. Let's keep our fingers crossed that that's the case, because we certainly don't want to have to follow these things. But if we have a plan in place, then we're so much better off. Maybe you guys already have a plan. And if you already have a plan in your club, then kudos to you, because you're way ahead of the game. If you have a club plan on something that relates to a crisis management strategy, what I'd like you to do is in a couple of months, when we've got the rest of this homework completed, I want to make sure that your plan marries with what the district plan is going to look like. So I don't think you're completely out of the woods yet. Keep that plan nearby, and I'd like you to reflect on it as we introduce and distribute the district plan once it's created. Okay, so you're not quite out of the woods yet. As I mentioned earlier, the district plan, I'm hoping will have templates factored into the plan itself and can be distributed to all of the clubs to be filled in with your local community and your local contacts. Identifying local community risks is key in your club plan. Here in Olds, we have a train that goes right through the center of town. We don't meet close to the train tracks, but you know, that's one of the things that is a concern, an issue, that we have a train that comes right through town. And I know the municipal government here in Olds, they do disaster planning based on a train coming off the tracks. So it's something to think about for sure, is identifying local risks in your community. Local experts in your community will help you immensely. Municipal government is certainly a key resource that Rotarians could approach. Perhaps there's somebody at the municipal government level that would be willing to sit on a task force to help you create your club plan. And I think they'd be very honored to be included in that conversation. So please reach out to the local people who have that expertise. Again, every plan needs to have various levels of severity in the community, in the club. So that's something to address as well, from those more mild kinds of scenarios to the more moderate or extreme scenarios. They all need to be addressed in your club plan. And then, of course, developing that key communications plan locally is absolutely critical. And to marry that with the district plan and the district policy, which has already been approved. All right, so you know how it goes in Rotary. If you're not tapped on the shoulder, then maybe you'll put your hand up. But I'm looking for a few good men and women with a skill set in their toolbox to help us create a district crisis management plan. Once this group of individuals has created the plan would be that would be rolled over to the crisis management ongoing committee that will take it on board and run with it from there as far as helping clubs establish district plans. If you are interested, if any of this information has tweaked an area of interest for you, or if you're waking up tomorrow morning or during the night thinking, man, you know, I've got a skill set that I could offer, the person to get in touch with to offer your skills and expertise would be our district governor-elect, Steve Levitt. I want you to know that Steve has indicated to me that it is his plan that all of this work is completed by the end of his DG term, which would be June of 2023. So we're looking at a 13-month window to get all of this plan figured out, templates created, and information to clubs such that they can create their own plans as well. So ideal scenario would be that all of this work is put to bed a year from now. So that's kind of our time frame. We're not expecting the work to be done between now and Christmas. Steve has given us a whole year to work through this process. So we have lots of time to contact resources, to review other plans that have already been created. I know some of the information that I have received on crisis management that helped create our policy came from a classmate of mine in another district in our zone. So really appreciate the work that other Rotarians have done on this topic already. Let's not reinvent the wheel if we don't have to. So let's reach out to our other Rotarians in other districts and lean on them to see if they've tackled some of this work already that we could help use in our district. So again, here's Steve's contact. There's his email. You can certainly send him a quick message in the chat this evening if you'd like to do that, or reach out to myself and I'll forward your name on to Steve, and look forward to working together to get the crisis management policy and plan well underway in our district. And I don't know about you, but I'll certainly sleep better at night knowing that we have a plan in place in the event that anything would go sideways, hoping, of course, that nothing ever does. So Marlis, I think that's maybe the end of the conversation. I hope it's encouraged lots of people to think about this project that we have ahead of us. I know that we have amazing Rotarians in our district that have incredible areas of expertise, and I'm looking forward to working with them as we work through the next 13 months. So I'll turn it over to you, Marlis. I see there's a couple of comments in the chat. I have not read them. I've been kind of talking away, so I apologize, I haven't kept track of.
That's okay, Mary, I have read them.
Okay, perfect.
I have read them, and we've got some good comments, actually. I'm going to not summarize them too much, but I think one of the things that Monica has asked from Cochrane is, what was the catalyst for all of this? Was there something in particular that happened that we have this?
No, so really good question, Monica. The reason why we're having this conversation is because Rotary International has mandated that all districts across the entire Rotary world has a crisis management policy in place by June of 2022. So in the next 5.5 weeks, all districts should have a crisis management policy put forward to their board and accepted at the district board level as a district policy. Having a policy in place does nothing for the rest of us as far as how do we manage things at our local club, or if we had a district-wide event or something like that. So as a district governor stream, we started thinking about narrowing things down and getting to a nitty-gritty plan. So that's kind of step 2 of this whole process, but it is initiated from Rotary International. So that's where the energy and
maybe the question is, do we, and maybe Monica, you're not asking this question, but it's interesting to me then, which is, was there something that happened why RI decided, or it's just they just decided to cover bases?
No, I think they've just decided to cover bases, Marlis, because from time to time you do hear of things happening, right? There's been nothing happen in our district. Things happen from time to time. Things go sideways from time to time across districts all over the world, whether it's a club event that goes sideways, somebody falls off their bike at a bike race and breaks their arm, and I mean, that's nothing too significant, but somebody goes hiking in the mountains and falls, and it's your youth exchange student. Things happen. And so if you have a plan in place, then you know how to go forward with helping mitigate any kind of issues and concerns. So nothing's happened. We just need to make sure that we're compliant with Rotary International, which we are, because we had this policy created and put to the board in February. So good for us. And now it's just a matter of getting that more detailed plan in place so that we're comfortable.
So another couple of comments, and the first one relates to, and Monica brought this up, but I also think that might also have been Martin from Canmore talked about how does this then go along with other plans that are in place, because we have, who's Rotary going to be working on, and maybe this kind of also dovetails with the last comment that we got, which is, are we from Dave, are we actually talking about club/district events, or is it bigger than that? So I guess it's those are the two questions: bigger than club, district, and if so, if it is bigger, how do we coordinate with other plans that are already emergency plans that are already in place?
So I think this would be more specific to like a Rotary event. So if you had a Rotary, let's say you were cleaning up garbage along the railroad tracks, that's maybe not a really good scenario. You were doing some kind of a Rotary event, and I mean, you can think of all kinds of horrible situations. Somebody has a heart attack and dies as they're doing some kind of a service project. And then it comes out in the media that it was a Rotary event. And I mean, I guess if Rotary is kind of ahead of the game as far as making sure that the club president and the district governor are aware, so that, you know, if the local CBC news reporter phones someone, they're aware of the situation and they're aware of what's going on, and they can intelligently have a conversation with media and that kind of thing without sounding like they're not aware of the situation. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. So Martin, Monica, and Dave, you're the three who asked questions. Does that cover some of your questions?
I mean, it could be a district event. It could be something that happens at a district conference, or it could be, so I'm sure, like, even if we go to Rotary International Convention, if something was to happen at the convention and it's all over the news that, you know, something happened at a Rotary International Convention, I'm sure that Rotary International has a plan in place to figure out how to communicate that out and how to deal with the situation at hand. We're taking it back to a district level and a club level.
Okay, thank you. One last question from Luann. She's asking, can I see the plan already, or is it on our website or not yet?
The policy is there. Yes, the policy is uploaded to our website. So that's certainly available for everybody to take a look. It's a 4-page document. So it's not the nitty-gritty details. The nitty-gritty details will come in that plan, which is the next document that we're looking at creating. Just to give you a bit of an idea, that, and I'm not sure, Linda Morris, if you're still on the call tonight, but that youth exchange crisis management plan, it hits around the 60-70 page limit for that plan. Very detailed, very comprehensive plan. So there's no plan yet, but the policy is available to take a look at.
And where's the location of that policy? Mary, Charlene, whoever.
The Bearden would be the best one to look at. I've reviewed it through the minutes through the last board meeting that was held on February the 4th, 2022. It's certainly listed there as a document. But Charlene may have it in another place as well. Not sure.
Yeah, it's under the district documents. You sign in, go to documents, and it's under the district documents, policies and policies.
Perfect. Thanks, Charlene. I knew you would know exactly where to find it. So please do take a look. It's, like I said, it's a 4-page document. A couple of us were involved in creating that in consultation with other districts that helped us out with some ideas for that content.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Mary. And now we're going to go on to our second last speaker, and that is Protecting Vulnerable Persons, Doug McDonald. And let me give you a little bit of information on Doug. He's a member of the Rotary Club of Calgary Heritage Park. He's currently club president, and at the district level, Doug is chair of the District Protecting Vulnerable People Committee and is the district protection officer. His Rotary classification is Associate Management. And Doug, if you could take it away, please.
Thanks, Marlis. You can hear me, right? So, all good. Yeah, I'm always amazed that this works. Anyway, thanks everybody for taking the time tonight to learn about different parts of club leadership. I'm going to take you through a few minutes on the District Protecting Vulnerable People policy. Oh, and this magically appeared on my screen, so I can actually change my own slides. Brilliant. So a bit of background. Somebody asked about where the crisis management plan came from. Where did the vulnerable people policy come from? It came as something that RI encouraged all of our districts to do. We do a lot of things with vulnerable people across the world, and we have had things go wrong as an organization. And like a lot of organizations who work with kids and seniors and people with disabilities and all sorts of other vulnerable people, we've all had to put better plans in place so that we're prepared. So who's vulnerable is anyone who is or may be unable to care for or protect themselves, and that they're involved in a Rotary program. Our scope has to end at they're involved in a Rotary program. Rotary can't go beyond what we do, but we can look at that group of people who are at risk, who are in our programs, and how we take care of them. So what's our plan? We've basically said that as a committee working on this, we've put our plan into 4 pieces. Part 1 is the policy and procedure, which was approved a couple of years ago now, and is out there. And with that will come an education module, a responding to incidents module, and an advocacy module. That what we really want to do is keep the safety of the people we serve front of mind for everybody. So Brian, do you run the polls for me?
I'll do that, Doug. Thanks. You want the poll
Rick,
run?
Yeah, first poll. So I've just put it up, Rick. So poll number 1, I have 2 questions I'd like everybody to quickly answer. And the first one is, I've read the district policy and procedures. The second one is, I've completed the district screening procedures. So yes, no, or I can't remember. So if everybody wants to quickly answer, and we'll give you a couple of seconds to answer, and then we'll go from there. Well, what do you know? I can even do it myself.
We're a little over 60%. Maybe we go another few seconds.
Few seconds.
We're over 80s. You okay?
Okay, let's put her up. So I'm actually not surprised. We we launched all of this just before COVID. And I get there are people who know what the policy is and who've been screened, and there are people who don't, and there's people who can't remember. So that's great. I appreciate everybody's input. That's why advocacy and education are going to be big parts of what we do now that we've got a policy and procedures. So why do we need a policy? Well, first of all, it's our job to protect every vulnerable person in one of our programs, whether they're kids, whether they're seniors, whoever they are. It's our job to protect them. It's the law. In Canada, we are required as an institution to protect the people we serve. It's not good enough to say stuff happens. It's also RI policy. As I said, RI has worked diligently at this for over 10 years now, and has asked district to have policy. We've had one in our district for almost 10 years, over 10 years now. And so the last version was an update. And lastly, and I think this is the part that we have to keep in mind, the last thing we're really worried about is protecting Rotary, because if we're protecting vulnerable people, we've already protected Rotary. So in terms of the policy, I'll be real quick going through, what the policy says is our job is to prevent harm, to make Rotary a safe place, to ensure that everyone understands they have rights and how to protect themselves. So when we're dealing with kids, that it's important that they understand that they have rights and that we have, and how they're protected. That we screen, train, and support our volunteers, and that we report every suspicion. And I know this is always the hard one. We'll come back to it in a few seconds, but if we're worried about something, it's our job to report it to the right people and let them figure out what to do with what we've seen. So we end with the first part of after the policy is the screening procedure. And as you can see, I thank Bob Golan and Okotoks for helping me get this straight in terms of the way we say it. Everyone who has direct and unsupervised contact with vulnerable people in Rotary programs must be screened before they work with vulnerable people. And one of the things as a committee we want to help clubs do is figure out what is direct and unsupervised in the situations you're involved with. And the key part of this is there are lots of places where we don't have direct or unsupervised contact, so not everybody needs to be screened. You know, when we go down to the food bank and help sort in the back, the food bank doesn't expect us to be screened. They have rules set up to protect people, so we have to figure out direct and unsupervised. And there are, as I said, there are 5 steps. There's an application form. We've now instituted as part of the new volunteer system that RIs helped create an interview, reference checks, a criminal or vulnerable sector check, which is a form of police record check, and mandatory training. And we'll go into that with you when we get down to the club level. When it comes to the training we're providing, we're talking about, we follow RI standards for training. They have a package for it. We're moving towards more role-specific training. We are talking about training for the people who are involved, like making sure, like at RAAC, as an example, that we take a few minutes with the kids before the week starts and talk about what they should expect, what's right, what's wrong, and what to do if somebody does something that's wrong. And then we have to keep a record and monitor people's participation in the training. We do ask everybody to renew the training every 3 years. It's like first aid training. You just keep renewing because that you don't use this every day, so it's good to get reminded. I go through some of this stuff professionally, you know, every couple of months just to make sure I haven't forgot something. There is a bullying and harassment procedure for dealing with vulnerable people that's in the document. And again, prevention is the most important, but when it happens, we have a job to do. We stop it. We stop the behavior. We report it. And as a district, we have a team of people who can help a club or a district committee who's had a bullying and harassment incident involving vulnerable people to help you deal with it. There is also a reporting procedure, and as you can see, there's a few steps. There's 7 steps on it, and I reiterate number 1 over and over and over: remain calm. Make sure people are safe. Make sure they know we're ready to help, and that we have to report the situation. It's not okay to say to somebody, "Don't worry about it, just tell me about it, and we'll decide whether to report." No. If we believe somebody's being abused, bullied, or harassed, or neglected, or exploited, it's our job. We're required to report. We listen to people. We don't interview. We record what we heard, and the most important thing is immediately report. And again, the procedure lays out the steps for that. There are some specific policies or procedures in the document for Rotary Youth Exchange around club certification, student selection, and parent commitments. Where we're going from here. We asked the clubs before the pandemic hit us to adopt the policy and procedures. And we're going to do a poll here in a second. We want to help every club and every district committee appoint a protection officer, and that's one we've kind of let slide for a little bit because we just haven't been doing anything out with people. So now's the time to get back on the rails. We've adopted a new volunteer management system. We were using the youth exchange system, and it was a bit of a problem because it's very youth exchange specific. This one was developed, and we're going to be introducing it to the clubs. It's basically it was built by the same people as the youth exchange management system, and is based on the same kind of rules and procedures. So it's a good system, and we'll be teaching club protection officers that. We're looking at new online education resources. Again, what we have is a youth exchange specific training, and we're looking actually at a Canadian version. We've just got to figure out none of these things are free. The RI, when Rick Eisted and I were talking the other day, it's over 15, maybe 20 years old. But there are Canadian versions we just have to look at. They cost money. But again, from my old work world, we we had lots of volunteers at my last organization saying this was the most useful training they'd ever taken on how to protect kids, and it was way more than they needed for their role in that organization. And we're updating the response team. We're adding some new faces to it, and people who are, again, like the crisis team that Mary was talking about. It's not something that goes to work every day, but it's something that's ready when we need it. So Rick, do you want to put the other poll up now? So 3 questions. Our clubs adopted the district policy and procedures. Our club has a protection officer, and we know which Rotarians, partners, and volunteers need to be screened. And 4, we know which Rotarians, partners, and others have been screened. So if you want to quickly answer that for us, that would be great. How do we look, Rick?
Just about 75%. Give it 5 more seconds.
Okay.
Looks like we're locked in at 77, so I would
Good.
say.
Let's see how the results look. So again, no surprises here. Yes, some people know they have or haven't, and most people just don't know. And that's, again, as a committee, we're going to be getting back out talking to people. And I'm encouraged by the fact that more people know yes than are no's. So we've got to start. And again, the key part of this, folks, is going to be as a committee, we want to be, as we're coming out of the pandemic stuff now, and things are changing, we're going to be doing more things with people. The last thing I just wanted to do, and it's not related to youth protection, I wanted to remind everybody, because it came up when we were adopting the policy, RI does have a harassment-free environment at meetings, events, and activities policy, and I get a lot of questions about this one. This is an all-adult policy that RI has approved. It's got references in little bits to what happens with youth exchange and other youth programs, but I would really encourage everybody to go out and have a read through that, because it does call on clubs and districts to take steps to be prepared for dealing with the situations where bullying and harassment happens in Rotary activities, whether it's adults or who it is. So with that, if you need something, there's where I'm at, and I'm working on my laptop, so I can't see the screen. So Marlis, I'm hoping you've been following questions if there are any.
I have been following questions, and right now there isn't. There was one comment from the designated governor nominee, or district governor nominee Kurt Kowalczyk, saying, protecting vulnerable people, yes, it's the law, yes, it's RI mandated. However, it's simply the right thing to do. And yeah. I think we'd all agree with that, you especially. So yeah. That's really our only comment, and no questions. So unless there is other questions, we'll move on to our last speaker. Anyone have anything else they want to ask?
Just if I have just I didn't type fast enough. But let's just get back to our crisis management. This is something that needs crisis management. If there was some issue in which a vulnerable person was harassed or bullied or interfered with in some way, that's where I see crisis management coming into it. So these two things need to be, I guess, dealt with at the same time. I got confused with the list of things that were up there that Mary had put up, mental health and this. I know I see this, if there was some issue with a Rotarian that was involved in harassing, as I've said that already, this is what needs crisis management.
Well, Monica, I agree, and it's if after you maybe go back and reread the policy and procedures, because you'll find the reporting procedure and how we propose that how we deal with it when an incident's reported. It does link to about to an emergency response. I will disagree with you. I spent 40 years of my career with Scouts. I dealt with more deaths of volunteers or kids at activities than I ever dealt with abuse cases. And believe me, if you're not prepared to deal with somebody dying of a heart attack at an event and you don't have a plan for it, like that is just we've got to be prepared for those kinds of things.
But I think a lot of the crisis management is to help the people who are involved in the crisis that happens, but also, how to put it politely, or maybe I can't, that it's also something to help Rotary work its way through something that would be unseemly.
Yeah, and whether it's a fatality, whether it's I've dealt in my career with lost kids, I've dealt with buildings burning down. And the first thing we do is we make sure everybody's safe. We make sure that we've taken care of things, that we've reported to authorities, and that we then manage how we respond to the situation. And that's no different in a situation like this. Like but again, it's the stuff we do in advance. It's making sure we've screened every volunteer, made sure that we've trained every volunteer, made sure that we've looked at the risks of an activity. Again, I worked for an organization that said we never let one adult be alone with kids. It's got to be two adults. We look at all of the things we can put in place so the likelihood of a kid being or a senior being abused or a senior being exploited by somebody, we limit the opportunity for that to happen. And that's the most important thing we do, because back to Kurt's point, it's the right thing to do, because if we just have a plan for what to do when the crap hits the fan, then it won't look good because we haven't protected people. Like if all we've worried about is protecting ourselves, I don't think it's the answer.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Doug. That's excellent. And I think that it is an ongoing conversation that we can have. But I think for now, we'll finish that off. And thank you very much. And then we're going to turn to Steve, our incoming district governor. He's going to finish off our evening for us. And here is a bit of information about Steve. For 33 years, Steve has worked in agriculture, marketing, and management, and now has his own agricultural consulting business. He's a member of the Rotary Club of Raymond and is the district governor-elect 2021. Sorry, must be, 2021-22, meaning he's coming in 1st of July. Steve has been an active member of Rotary for 20 years. In 2007, Steve and his wife, with other Rotarians, served a 3-week volunteer assignment in Uganda, working with agriculture, education, and health. Steve is married to Pat, and they have 5 children and 14 grandchildren. They also served a volunteer mission for 1.5 years in St. Lucia, Caribbean. So since returning in 2017, Steve has dedicated more of his time to service opportunities in conjunction with his local Rotary Club. He has participated in fundraising, service opportunities with a student service club, and presently with an Interact club on a local Indigenous reservation. Steve has also participated in the building of small bunkhouses for the homeless and planting trees on the Blood Reserve. Steve has always enjoyed sports and is now an avid biker, participating in Rides for Polio and other fundraising events for their family foundation. Steve, could you finish off our evening for us, please?
Yes, we should have toned that down. I know the time is the essence. We got a lot of people still here. I don't know how you're all feeling, but I know I'm a little overwhelmed when I think going as district governor, I've got things to do with goals, membership growth, crisis, and protecting vulnerable persons. So I think it boils down to that as incoming presidents or executives, we got to realize that we can't do this alone. I can't do it alone. And so we have a team of Rotarians in our clubs and in the district that will try to help make this all happen. So just quickly, I'd like to thank those who participated, Linda, with the goals. And I would encourage each of you to go back to your clubs and set whatever it is, 1, 2, or 3 major goals for this coming year. Number 2, Charlene talked to us about using our Clubrunner, made it easy, and it looked pretty easy. I know she's good at it, but if you have questions, get in touch with her. I'd like to thank Doug Logan, who helped us with this membership engagement, and our breakout session was really good. And I wrote down a few key ideas that I hope to use through this next year. And I hope you also, as you get the notes, go through the chat. If you haven't kept some notes, get some key ideas for your club. And then, of course, crisis management and protecting vulnerable persons. It's very pertinent to each of us in the district and clubs, and let's work together on that. And Sharvi, great job in helping us understand how Rotaract is going to be more elevated to become more like a Rotary Club in essence, where they get grants and so on. But let's try to engage with these people. Now I'm told that I can advance my slides, so we'll try that. It's not working though. So Brian, if you can help me there. Okay, so our theme for this coming year, as you probably know from Jennifer Jones, is Imagine Rotary. So what can you imagine in your club? What can you dream for your Rotary experience? It could be in areas of service, Indigenous relations, diversity, equity, inclusion, whatever it might be. Choose your key areas that you can imagine. So remember, whatever you can imagine, and if you work hard at it, it can come to pass. It's like producing a bountiful crop at harvest time. I'm going to show you my little seed I planted at the previous meeting as we get to the end here. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So I just want to give you an example, and it was discussed in my introduction. This happened about 2 weeks ago. Our Rotary members in Cardston and Raymond got together with our Interact Club on the Blood Reserve, and we planted about 25 fruit trees. There were plum trees. These were for individuals that were identified, that had families that had passed away in the last year that were connected with the school. As we probably all know, there's pretty high incidence of death by suicide or overdoses and COVID. So this is a very emotional experience, and it was something that really engaged our clubs working together with this Interact Club. This isn't everybody, but it's a group of the individuals over there. Next. And this is showing some of the youth working together, planting these plum trees. Next slide. Again, the youth were actually out there digging and doing a lot of work to make it all happen. And so this was their idea. We asked them about 3 years ago what they want to do for a service activity. This was one of them that they came up with. So if you aren't connected with a Rotaract Club or an Interact Club, try to think of that in your next year, and even look out to Indigenous groups or other groups of other ethnicities. Perhaps could be some of these new immigrants coming in from the Ukraine or other countries, Afghanistan. Let's think of these people that are out there that need our support, our direction. Next slide. So something to think about. Let's get involved in our local communities through service and community projects. We talked a lot about that in our breakout sessions. Let's not go to the community and say, hey, this is what we're doing. Come and join us. Let's go and say, hey, what do you want to do in the community? And let's help make it happen. We're doing something in our community now with upgrading a playground, and that's what we did. We went to the community organizations. They're raising funds for this new playground upgrade, and so we're going to get involved in helping them build this. Do hands-on activities to engage and empower members in your club. So that's so important to not just talk about things, donate a check, but let's get out and meet people. Let's meet the underprivileged. Let's meet our Indigenous neighbors. Let's get out there and engage and empower our members. And it was mentioned in our breakout, and I'm glad it was. So rather than meet every week in a meeting, why not get out in your community once every month or so and do something hands-on? Let's get engaged. Let's grow our clubs. Let's grow our memberships. Now, I just want to show something here. Doug, can you just let me, so you can actually see myself? Is that going to work, Brian?
Brian, just stop screen sharing.
Oh, there we go. So I just wanted to conclude here, if I can show up on the screen there. Is that possible?
Yeah, we can see you, Steve.
Oh, you can? All right. I want you to see this tomato plant. Can you kind of see it? Oh, my background's kind of bad, but that's a pretty big tomato plant there. You can see parts of it. But this plant was planted just, it's not showing up very good. It was planted 3 months ago, and now it's about 2 feet tall. So think of what you can plant in your club that's going to grow through the next year, and it's going to produce a good ripe tomato. I'm going to use this analogy, I think, through the year, because that's my theme: planting seeds of vibrancy. Imagine Rotary. Thanks everybody so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Steve. Your tomato plant looks a lot better than it did at district conference. It was kind of leaning, so it's really done well. And I do hope, even if you do use the analogy, you actually bring a fresh tomato every time. That one's going to look pretty bad by the end of the year. So, anyways, thank you all very much for attending. It was excellent as usual. And Brian and Rick, of course, putting this all together was fantastic. And thanks to Keith. This is probably our last time working together as the dream team, but it was wonderful. So thank you all very much. It was very well done. Thank you.